friends of ours for so many years. We're so fortunate they get to work with us now and be close friends. We've traveled with them to several countries actually in the past and are going to other countries with them in the future. They're just a wonderful couple and we love doing life with them. Steve has got something really powerful to share about his life and what's happened since you've last seen him. And his wife Dee is an angel and she has so many traits that I admire about her, being kind-hearted and she's a hard worker and supports her husband, and it's mutual, and I just love you guys, and thank you, Steve, for what you're about to bless us with.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning to you.
Man, what a fabulous group. Brad, welcome. Great to have you back in Colorado. Looking forward to seeing you all weekend. Today, Scott asked me if I would talk about the topic of the art of storytelling. The art of storytelling. So I'm gonna give you 10 things about the art of storytelling. So you might want to jot these down because each one of us has a story to tell. And what I want to start with is a quote. This is by Yanla Van Zandt, and she says, "When you stand up and share your story in an empowering way, your story will heal you, and your story will heal someone else." So think about that. Every time that you get together with a friend, see a family member, do something with a colleague in your profession, think about that. Each time you speak your story, you're healing yourself, and there's a very real possibility that you're going to heal that listener. So storytelling is how we convey what we've experienced with other people. And I want to share with you 5 keys to storytelling. So I'm going to call these the 5 keys. Key number 1 is to know your audience. So your audience might be those people I just talked about. You might be having a chat with your mother or your sister-in-law. Might be a family member. And we have to gear our story a little differently, don't we? When we're talking about our longevity experience with our family members. So that might be one particular audience. Another particular audience might be, for me, because I'm college educated and I am in a profession, I hang around a lot of people like me. So college educated, intellectual types, they know way more than they're supposed to know. They think with their brain and not with their heart sometimes. And so I have to gear my story to them a little differently than I would my friends who might have come up through the trades. I'm in construction, so I have a lot of friends in the trades too. Blue collar educated, maybe high school is their last diploma. They think a little differently than my professional friends. So I have to gear my story a little differently for them. So know your audience. That's important. Number 2 is be yourself. Okay? I had to learn this one because I hang around a lot of incredible people that I'm not Tom Chanel, right? And neither are you. Nobody is like Tom. No one is like Scott. No one is like Joel. Each of us have our own personalities, and so the key to telling your story is don't try to be someone else. I'm going to share with you a story today that's me, and I hope you like it because it's all I got. The third one that I was doing just before Juliet called me up here is I was doing a little deep breathing because I need to relax. Because I'm one of these highly educated, think with my brain, and sometimes don't let my heart come out. I get a little anxious. So I'm up here, palms up. I'm not I'm not holding anything in. I'm giving to you in a relaxed manner. And then I'm really going to relax when I'm done.
I'll try.
Number 4, paint a picture. Now, I'm an artist. I'm an architect by training, but the only reason I'm an architect is because in my junior year of high school, I went to the guidance counselor, like all of you probably did too. And my counselor said, "So Steve, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "Well, I want to be an artist, but my dad says I need to be a professional of some sort." And so he says, "Oh, you're really strong in math and science." I said, "Yeah, those come easy to me." He says, "You should be an architect." And I was like, "Okay, are we done here?" You know, it was like a 5-minute meeting. I don't remember who this guy was, but you know, thank you, whoever you are, because you gave me 32 years of practice career. And so, so I'm gonna call number 4, paint a picture. And so you'll find me always telling stories in kind of a colorful way to paint something in your mind about what I'm trying to convey. So paint a picture. And then the 5th key step is to create curiosity. Create curiosity. So when you're telling your story, don't expect that you're going to end that meeting or coffee or lunch or phone conversation with, "And do you want a CEO pack?" Right? That's not how, I had to learn that this is not how that works. So your role in telling your story is to whet the appetite of those that you're talking to. Whet the appetite. What you want to do at the end of telling your story and at the end of that coffee or at the end of that phone call is set the next appointment. Whet the appetite, create curiosity about, I need to know more about what Steve's talking about. And yeah, I'll get together for coffee next week. Okay? So those are the 5 keys. And now I'm going to talk about the 5 steps. And I want to thank Trish and Marianne and others that have taught me along the way of what the 5 steps of telling your story are. So the 5 steps of telling your story, and this is the story of your longevity experience. So if you are just getting started, your story is starting to develop. Now, Dee and I have been in longevity for 4 years now, so we have many stories to choose from. And so when we think about what story we're going to tell, we go back to the 5 keys and say, we need to know our audience. I'm talking to my brother, it's going to be a different story than if I'm talking to an engineer that's a friend, right? So let's just assume right now that my audience is that engineer friend. It's a highly educated person. He might have been in the engineering and construction field for as long as I have, it's like 3 decades. So I kind of know where they're coming from. By the way, engineers aren't artists, so I have to put on my left brain. But what I might tell someone like this is, where was I? So I'm telling my story now. So where was I when we began? Okay. And for that, I like to go to what I call the life wheel. And I want to know where they are ultimately, but through my story, I get that back from them. Does that make sense? So I'm going to tell a story, and because it's a dialogue, I'm going to get that back from them. So what does a life wheel look like? A life wheel looks like a big circle. Draw yourself a circle, and just make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Divide it in half like that. Then divide it in diagonal like that. So the life wheel has 8 pieces of a pie to it. Okay? So what you're trying to do is assess where they're coming from. What is their physical health like? And what you want to do is, if it's 0, if they're in the hospital and they're fighting for their life, they might score it a 1, something really low. At the outside perimeter is let's say 100. So think about these as percentages. So where are they in their career? Everyone's got a job or something that they're doing for cash flow. Where are they in their career? Where are they in their finance? Where are they in their relationships with friends and family? Where are they in their relationship with their significant other? Whether they're married or dating? Where are they in their personal growth? Do they do personal growth? Something we kind of need to know in this business. Are you interested in growing? Where are they in their fun zone or their recreation? What do they do with their leisure time? And finally, how about home? Like their physical environment. So what you do is you try to gauge over that storytelling, the back and forth, where are they in all of these? Maybe they're really rocketed in their career, and their pie is up here at 80%. And that's great. A lot of my friends are really having great success. Some of them don't know how to handle money, and so maybe their finances are all goofed up, or maybe they leverage themselves to the hilt and they have all this debt. Maybe they have great friendships and great family. Maybe they have the ultimate marriage, like me. What about the, hey, Dee's going to get up later and she's going to tell you after my story that she wins. So, but maybe because of their career and how much they're spending, time, their fun factor is really low. Maybe they don't have the home that they want, and maybe they're renting an apartment and it's low. And maybe physically, they work out all the time and it's really high. Maybe in personal development they don't do any, so it's low. So you end up with this picture. That's what I mean about painting a picture. Painting a picture about where you're at and where your prospect is at is key. So that's kind of how healthy am I in my life wheel? So let me get back to talking about where was I. So I'm gonna break down my story into these 5 categories, okay? So this is how I would say to my engineer friend, let's say it's John, who is my engineer friend. Both, as you know, both Dee and I are highly educated. We've been in corporate America for 3 decades. I've had a fabulous career in designing community architecture for cities and municipalities and sports teams all across the world. It's been fantastic. And I've traded a lot of time for that money. That's my answer to where was I? Okay. The next question you have to ask yourself is, what did I hear? Okay, so where was I is what happened before I found longevity. What did I hear? How was I introduced to longevity? Scott Fardulis and Juliet, as Juliet stated, we've been friends for a long time, 18 years now. And so I never knew what Scott did, even though I was his friend. It's very magical about that. Somehow he knew everything about me, and I knew very little about him. And he's that good. So when he shared with Dee and I the opportunity for longevity, he said something that was very profound. I'm going to tell it to you today, and you'll want to write this down. He said, I'll give you some advice, Steve and Dee. I know you're having tremendous success in your careers, But the advice is dig your well before you're thirsty. Dig your well before you're thirsty. And that was great advice. This is 4 years ago. And so we started to dig our well. We started to create opportunity within longevity before we needed a drink. And it was great advice. And here we are 4 years later, and I'll share with you why it's such great advice. I took notice on that day that he showed us the plan of the compensation model. You know, I was using my left brain, and I noted, wow, wouldn't it be great when I retire to have a stream of income that I sold something once and it paid us for the rest of our lives. Wouldn't that be great? And I wouldn't have thought that unless my Sherpa, Scott Fardulis, would have planted that seed about digging that well. So that's what I heard. The next question you have to ask yourself is, what did I decide? What did I decide? So we decided to buy a CEO pack. So your prospects are going to wonder too, how do I get started? Well, there's a number of ways to get started, all with different advantages to them. We wanted all the advantages, right? We wanted to get paid 10 ways. And so we decided $500 for a business in a box for $1 million opportunity over our lifetime. Yeah, we'll come up with that money, no problem. If we have to sell something to create that opportunity for ourselves in the future, so that's what our decision was. And we look back on that now, and it was like buying a vehicle to our financial future. And you know, a number of you in this room have done that. A number of you on Zoom have done that as well. And it's the best that you can make. Number 4, and I just got, so what
Let me give you.
were the results?
Would you have time to go to Grandma's and pick up all the frozen chicken?
What were the results?
Bags of chicken?
So we told Scott, look, we understand the compensation model. We're new to network marketing, but we want you to show us how to make $1,000 in the next 30 days. And he's like, great. Thank you for letting me know what your expectation is. Let me show you how. 30 days later, our check was $1,001.97. And I was like, you should ask for 2. He showed us how to do 2 later. And then the last step is, what am I doing now? So when you're telling your story, people want to know, where were you? What did you hear? What did you decide? What were the results? And what are you doing now? So right now, we are 2-star executives in longevity. We dug our well before we were thirsty. Both of our longevity cars, one of which is sitting out here, are paid for. We've been on 3 top achiever cruises and vacations with many of you, many of our longevity friends from around the world. But back to corporate America, you might think that being a senior partner at one of the most famous architecture firms in the nation was voted in 2011 as the best place to work in both small firm and all firm. You would think that there's some stability there. Well, I'm here to tell you that my expectation of working there until I was 67 or 70, you know, drawing full Social Security and in retirement, wasn't to happen. I found out 2 weeks ago that I needed to leave the firm. And so for 2 weeks, I've been retired. So you're going to see a lot more of me. And hopefully I can keep telling my story as well. But I hope this was helpful for you. These are 10 things that you should understand, 5 keys and 5 steps. And so Dee and I are excited to announce today that we are experiencing the 3 freedoms that we talk about all the time, right? So 4 years ago, when we got on the product, we experienced the first freedom, which was health. We got our health back, right? And I have a whole story that goes around that I won't share today. You'll hear it some other day. We got our financial freedom. And then the third one, which is kind of elusive for many in this room, many around the world. But today, I'm proud to announce that we have our time freedom. Time is ours, and we can now decide how we're going to spend our time.
I win.
So each of us, in conclusion, each of us have a story to tell others. I would just want to know, in this room of 50 or 60 people, how many of you have ever received a check from Longevity? All right, look around. 80% of this room has received a check from Longevity. Those of you around the world, raise your hand. How many? That was a little more difficult to do, but how many in the room have received a car bonus check? Okay, I would say 40% of this room gets a car check bonus. And then finally, how many of you have experienced improved health from Longevity? Okay, like 90% of the room. That's awesome. So in conclusion, know your audience when you're telling your story. Be yourself. Relax. Don't try to be someone else or try to be something you're not. You're you. Your friend, your family, your colleague knows you anyway, so don't try to be someone else. Paint a picture from your experience, and they're going to be filing that away as like, I wonder if I could do that too. Wouldn't that be wonderful in my early 50s if I could retire from my career and do this where I'm serving others, gaining a commission every month from Longevity, having them pay for my cars, my vacations, be around wonderful people like you, and create curiosity. Don't think that you're going to close on that first conversation. You know, studies show that it takes 7 touch points to get to a decision from someone. You know, when you're sharing your story, that might be the first time they've ever even heard of Longevity. So don't expect that this is I'm going to go close 7 CEO packs this week because I'm going to work every day. You know, you might close 7 CEO packs in 4 months because of what you do today. So that's what I had to share with you today. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be up here. So I have the privilege of introducing a new friend of mine. And Nikki is a mom, a wonderful mother of a 4-year-old. She's newly married to Joe Maly, so she has a new last name. You'll discover in the next few minutes that Nikki is a true professional network marketer, and she has so much valuable experience to share in such a young package, such a young, beautiful package, and that you are going to want to continue taking this because what she has to share, she always drops 20 nuggets onto my note page. So help me welcome my friend, Nikki Maly.
All right.
Well, this is exciting. Tom's creepily sitting in the corner
I
watching.
know. We're on camera most of the time, just so you know.
I'm not like fondling myself.
Okay. So today I get to share the topic of the invite, or setting the appointment. So most of you guys, if you're like me, I take notes and I write down, the invite or storytelling. So if you wrote the invite, cross it out, because we're going to talk about inviting today. It takes more than one time. Okay. So before we get into that, I want to preface something for most of us. 9 times out of 10, when somebody joins network marketing, most of the time, it's somebody in desperate need of something. If you guys agree? Yeah. Most of the time, it's finances, right? There's 3 things somebody's probably desperately needing: more time, more health, or more finances, more wealth, right?
Yep.
if we then say, I'm in a desperate place financially in my life, and I sit with my dear friend Joel, and he tells me about this company, this opportunity that could change my finances, my bills in my life are comfortably at times and uncomfortably floating in and amongst each other, right? I don't get to do extra. I have just enough, but I don't get to do extra. And so then he says, oh, here's this opportunity. I decide to take it, seeing that this could be a financial solution in my life. And then I desperately think that this network marketing solution is going to be it overnight. And so what do? I make a list of 50 friends and I call them before midnight, all of them, right? And so I'm probably, you know, pouring out this emotion of desperate. And when people feel that on you, whether it's health desperate or time desperate or wealth desperate, they can smell it. I mean, they can. So when you guys get into this business, and when we talk about this opportunity, we say 12 to 24 months. We talk about 12 to 24 months. So this is something that it takes time to master a certain task called the invite, right? And so I tell, you know, Joel, you know, we got, okay, so Fardo list, right? We call it Fardo Live because there's okay, so we got Fardo Live. Okay, and what we mean by that is Scott and Juliet took time. This decision was not overnight. It wasn't for Joel, it surely wasn't for me, right? Scott knows that. It took a couple months, and he and Juliet focused on the relationship. I understand this concept can be so hard, especially when your life needs a change, financially, health, or time. Like, I need to pay the bills, so I need you to close. I need you to buy 7 CEO packages of a special, right? And so they're like, no. And so the reality is, you guys have to understand and accept today that the inviting takes time. Can we all agree with that?
Yes.
So when I say we got Fardo Live, it meant that Scott showed up for us over and over again. He was willing to sit with me. It was probably the 7 touches, 7 times that we had to sit before I was like, oh my gosh, okay, my heart's okay here, right? It took time. But isn't it okay to take time to find value?
Yes.
Okay, so don't leave today and call 50 of your friends because you're so jacked up before midnight with a hard sale. Don't do that today. What I'm going to teach you guys today are some steps that are practical that you can place into your life. And then I'm going to put a friend of mine on the spot who has no idea I'm going to do it to give a good example of what a really great invite looks like, focusing on, and if you guys have ever seen me up here talking about this topic before, relationship, right? This is like dead horse. I'm going to beat it till y'all get it, okay? And did Denise walk in?
Yes.
Every time I go to stand up and do a presentation, you walk in just before and I get so nervous. I saw Denise walking through I saw the reflection on the TV and I was like, why does this happen? I'm taking notes. Okay, so when I say it's not one invite, it's multiple invites. So here's an example of the wrong multiple invite. When I say multiple, I don't mean calling Danny every Tuesday to invite her to a Wednesday night open meeting at 7. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, Danny, there's this thing and you should come to it because of this, this, and this. She's like, well, you're not gonna believe it, my dog just died. And I'm like, wow, devastating. So then I think, oh, I had this great training. I should do another invite. So next week, her dog's gone, probably not gonna die again. So I call Danny and I say on a Tuesday, hey Danny, there's this Wednesday night thing and you should come to the thing on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock and Joel's gonna be doing this thing. It's really good for you and blah, blah, blah. And this is awful already. She's like, I don't believe this. My dog resurrected. so then I say, oh gosh, I wish I was there for that. So you're saying, once again, you're saying you're not coming. Right, so you're not coming. So then the next week comes, and it's a Tuesday, and you're gonna call And I got no other story for that. It's like, I don't know what other excuse there'd be. But do you understand that this is not working? Like you're not resurrected. I mean, you guys, have you ever been like turned down for somebody to come to something and you're baffled at the reason?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, and you want to know why? The value was not placed. The value was not placed on the invite. Okay, so our success has come from one single thing. Yes, we do the Wednesday night meetings. We show up every Wednesday. We show up every Wednesday and do the meetings. Wednesdays or Tuesday night, Tom and Denise do a meeting here every Tuesday, an open opportunity. Your business is not wrapped up in those single weekly meetings. It's what happens between Wednesday and Wednesday. End of story.
Yeah.
What happens between Wednesday and Wednesday is where the value is brought. So here's where it starts. My first initial invite, when I meet somebody brand new, Callie and I just had a meeting with a friend at a coffee shop. She beautifully did this. You beautifully, is that a thing?
Yep.
If it is, write it down, write my name next to it. I'll be famous before I leave here. Okay, beautifully. So Callie set up a friend of hers, who's named Hannah. She has gone through a season of her life as a single mom, who struggled in finances, is trying to find her way, right? And so she says, oh my gosh, like you're such a powerful woman. I'm listening to your story. You should meet my friend Nikki, who's been through a similar season in her life. Maybe she could offer some solutions for you. Maybe she could offer some solutions. There was no business sale, no anything attached to it. So we go have coffee, the three of us, and a couple little munchkins running around, right? Because we're moms, that's what we do. And so in this hour conversation, I get to know Hannah and I ask her questions. The focus is the relationship. In the middle of our conversation, I said to Hannah a simple few questions like, you want to be a stay-at-home mom, why? What's the value there for you, right? I am a stay-at-home mom, a present mom, I know the value. She answers it. I said, what are you doing right now to get you closer to that goal? And she said, not really anything. You know, I have tried network marketing, like home-based business. Now, she has no idea what I do for a living, full-time network marketing. And I said, really? Tell me how you feel about network marketing. She said, I love it, right? And so for many of us, that would be the moment, right? Oh my gosh, right? And so, but I said nothing. I said, really, continue to share with me your experience, right? So the meeting has to end, right? We're there about an hour. We're ready to part ways. And here is where the value comes. I poured into Hannah. That's all that happened. Callie did a great job. She was there. She was listening. She supported conversation. She kept, 4-year-olds or 2-year-olds from killing each other. And that was like, that's a big thing. They're still alive today. And so in this conversation, before we parted ways, here is the next invite. Before we parted ways, I said, Hannah, you're quite a powerful woman. And I complimented her. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of values I see in you that I believe I have some offers, some solutions to offer you. Of course, not today, but are you open to sitting down with me another time to talk about some solutions in your life? And she said, I would love that. I'd love that. Most important part about that meeting is she's going to church with us on Sunday. So I tell people if I meet him, I just met Darcy, right? There's like 3 things we end up talking about. First, ashes, right? Save your budget.
Yeah.
And then 2, Grace Place, save your bacon. And then 3, probably longevity, because like, why not? Okay. So we had this great conversation. So much value was placed there. Not a single thing was mentioned about network marketing or anything. The relationship was created. The next meeting we have, she's coming with a notebook, an open mind, an open heart. Trust was created. Is that not value?
Yes.
She texted me when we left there today, never met this gal, and I pull up at the grocery store. I'm in tears because this is why you do it, and when you know you're doing it right. And she said, this meeting blessed me today. Like, I can't wait to see you. She never once asked me what I did for a living. There was no hard sale. There was nothing. But here, if somebody's sitting here today like, wow, I'm awkward, I don't know how to create relationships, right? I'm going to give you 3 pointers today. Feel, felt, found. just for clarification, this is a hands-free process. There's no feeling or felting or pounding. Hands-free, okay? Just so we're clear. Right. Dang it! Yes. Tom goes, rats. Okay. So feel without pound. This is where relationships are built. This is the foundation. When somebody comes to you and you have a life experience similar, Scott, sorry. I get nervous up here, which is why I crack jokes. So if you guys laugh, it makes me feel better. Okay. So in that conversation with this gal, right, she would say something as, oh my gosh, I totally understand how you feel, right? And oh man, I felt that way at that season in my life. You know, and here's some things I found. And when you go on a journey with somebody, a relationship is created. That is the foundation of building a solid relationship. Can we all agree on that point?
Yes.
Okay. So the fact of doing the invite, it does take invites and invites and invites and layers of inviting. And you have to be okay with the process before you leave today. Because you can go today, and you can call 50 of your friends before midnight. You can hard sale them. You can call them. You can be really great and persuasive over the phone, and they can join. But as soon as a hiccup happens in your business, their business, they get an auto ship they didn't know was coming out, guess what happens? They quit. And we are about staying power. And staying power only happens with relationships. It doesn't happen with samples. It doesn't happen with pamphlets. It doesn't happen with any of those things. It's a heartfelt invite. So first invite should always be some type of an interview process, really getting to know even the wheel that's up here, right? My friend Darcy, who is not enrolled into longevity yet, is sitting here today. She leans over and goes, did you draw out my life wheel? And I said, no, I didn't, because, I mean, in my mind and my heart, I can get an idea of where she's at, but it was about the relationship, and that's what matters. So in our process of inviting with Darcy, she has sat down. We had a friendship conversation where we connected. We talked then about longevity. She came to then a Tuesday night roundtable. She then, once she said yes to me, then I invited her to the Wednesday open meeting, right? Then I invited her there. And then I invited her here. So it's a process. It's a process, and that's where the patience comes. Now, this is a place where she says, this is really exciting. I can't wait to do this. Doesn't it seem as if we built a friendship, and this is something that is a staying power type of a process, right? So
yes.
That is the focus. End of story, okay? So a couple of my things on my notes, we talked about, people have asked, how do you do the invite, and what's this exact process look like? So here's what Joel and I do, and this is where we find our success. We do the relationship. We first focus on the relationship. We invite and we do some sort of coffee shop interview. Tom has a really great document you can follow if this is a first-time process. And going and having a respectful back and forth conversation with another adult. It's okay to know that your first few times doing this, you might blow it, and it's okay. This is why. You're walking into the meeting saying, I'm not supposed to have an agenda, but I have an agenda because I really need the money and help them first. And then you've got like on your hand, feel, felt, found, don't touch. Okay. Okay, don't touch, right? And so you're walking in with all these things you leave with today, and it's awkward, and I forgot this step. And so another key component of inviting is it takes time to learn this. It's like a muscle. It's like a muscle, and you have to work that muscle, right? Mm-hmm. And so you might go and sit with somebody who says, I love network marketing. You're like, really? Because guess what I do for a living? Blah, 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 and buy 7 CEO packs, and that's our special. Okay? And you might blow it. And understand when you're done, debrief with yourself. Okay, but the first step is build a relationship, do some sort of coffee shop interview. At the end of that meeting, on your way out, you then set up a future type of event, right? This can happen in 24 hours. This can happen. This has happened with me. I built a relationship at the gym in the morning. We had coffee, right? Later that night, I introduced her to Scott. The next morning, she enrolled CEO pack, was a perfect stranger, Lainey, right? She now has 4 distributors in her team already. So fast. So this can happen as fast or as slow as you choose. You can meet somebody and build a new relationship, and this might be frightening for you in the process. And like 6 months from now, then you finally show longevity. So you guys have the time, you guys have the relationships, everybody can leave here, meet somebody, connect with someone on your list. It's about how much time you condense down to share this with somebody, okay? So here's the key and here's the trick, right? To really making this meaningful and master this, is to invite them. When I do an invite after a CSI, a coffee shop interview, get to know them, I often, if it's my person, will invite them to meet someone else. I always invite them to meet someone else, okay? Because if they invite them to meet me again, and then I'm the expert in all of the things, we talked a lot about community and how valuable this is, right? So when I met Darcy, we sat down and talked about longevity. It just so happened that downstairs was our mastermind group. So instead of introducing her to one, there was like, hi, here's 10 wonderful people. And she was like, okay, great, right? So I invite to meet someone else. Always do that. Invite to meet someone else. And when they sit down, then you have a team of people and other experts. And here's the beauty of doing, what we call a trifecta. If I want to introduce Joel to my friend Marenko, who's the expert, Marenko is then going to edify me, right? Because I'm not going to toot my own horn. Marenko is also going to edify me as somebody productive and, in this business. Somebody that has a resume of some kind, maybe, right? So it provides value. Once the person then says yes to you, because did they ever buy longevity?
No.
They actually are buying you. You're the X factor.
Right.
And that's it. So once somebody enrolls because they say yes to you, then you can take them to a Wednesday or a Tuesday. And how awesome is it when you take somebody to a live event like that, and instead of them sitting like this, wondering why you drug them there because their dog just resurrected from the dead and they're not home to witness it, right? Yeah, and I mean, like, instead of this, they are a Darcy at a Wednesday meeting with a notebook taking notes. Is that not what you want in your business?
Yes.
Okay, so the process is simple. Build a relationship, do the interview, invite them to meet someone else, show them then the big picture, the 30,000-foot view of what we have as a company, and then you can enroll them where they're fit. And that's a whole other training in itself, right? If they're not ready for a CEO pack, if they're a $25 spot in some products, if they're a customer, let them fit where they're supposed to fit. You lose your agenda and their agenda, you build a team, okay? So I'm gonna have somebody come up who doesn't know I'm gonna do this, but she's wonderful. We've known each other for a few years. Steve actually mentioned, hey, can you do like a live, back and forth, how do you do an invite with somebody? I'm not going to do that because it's like, it looks, everybody in here mostly is in longevity, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I did that, it wouldn't be real and authentic. So what I'd rather do is bring somebody up here who this whole process happened to, and when the invite came up, it was done really naturally. So Amber, as a dear friend of mine, will you come on up here really quick? So Amber is 19, and she is one of the most amazing 19-year-olds I've ever known. Had I been who she is at 19, I'd be so much further today. She has incredible, business background. She's an amazing friend, intelligent, smart, a hard worker. She is the millennial you want in your team. There's no joke. She's the millennial. Now, Amber and I have been friends for a few years. We have some network marketing experience together. We lost connection for a couple of years, maybe a year, right? Joel and I go out to dinner, and she happens to work at the place we go to dinner. And so I first invited her to church, and now she goes. And so, isn't that beautiful? Okay, that's what it's about. So we end up going to church together. We built this friendship, right? And so, Amber, if you'll share with them over, she has no idea the stuff. What course of time, what was your experience with our friendship, and then what did it look like that day I finally said, hey, I think we should get together. So share with them a little bit about your personal experience there.
So, hi everybody, I'm Amber. Right, so I'm just the name tag thing, but like she said, we reconnected maybe 4 months ago or so, and invited me just to spend time with her, build a relationship, got to, meet Arian, and that's, a blessing in itself, and just got to spend time. We did that several times, and then invited me to church and did a small group, and then I got to meet several people. Got to just, I guess just how Nikki spends her time, or that she's in charge of that, and then have been at Bryce Place, have gone to our church meetings, and then we had coffee this last week, and I have going through life, which aren't we all, and just kind of sharing, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I need, and this is what I'm looking for, and she said, well, here you have a need, and I think I may have some solutions. Are you interested in that? And yes. And when, how, and tell me now. And she was like, okay, well, I have this thing going on Tuesday where you might try out some more, or Wednesday. And I was like, well, I work Tuesday, but I'm going to fix that. And I got it off, and I was able to, see some other people who are already in my life that are involved in this, which is just amazing. And then meet some new faces, and two people I got to meet on Tuesday are here, so that's cool. That's kind of where we are. That was good.
So you see, it took time. It took some time. Thank you so much, Amber, for coming up and sharing. Is a live version of what it takes time. And so when a few of us had Amber on our heart list. Like, we all know Amber's needs. Callie knew Amber's needs. Brittany and Jeremy knew Amber's needs. I knew Amber's needs. So she was all on our heart list. And then one day I finally called. I had heard all of the things I heard in her life, and I said, Amber, we're going to have coffee. Is that okay with you, right? We connected. We sat down. I asked her a few questions, and I said, I believe I have some solutions. I was able to blanket and talk about some things that were longevity. We left. I never said the name of the company. I never talked about 90 for Life. She had no idea who Scott Bardulis was, not a single thing. And before we left, she said, I don't mean to sound like a jumper, but I'm in. I want to do it. How great, right? So she came to an event, and then she found out what we actually were. So what I want you guys to understand is she is a millennial who knows how to be a professional network marketer. Is that okay that it took some time? Oh my gosh, and she's here getting the best training you can get. She's going to start on a great foot. So I want you guys to just admit to yourself today, leave here today, and don't go call 50 of your friends. Sit down and be willing to provide the value. And then it will come with some time, but you have to understand that. Can we all agree with that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so feel, felt, found, hands free. Feel, felt, found, hands free. And if you have to, Bardulai everyone, right? Take the time and let this be a process. And if you have questions or you need somebody to introduce them to, have some people that you can call to do some three-way connections with, either over the phone or have coffee or something, right? So this was such an honor today. Like, this is such a passion. It is such a hot topic in our life because we're constantly talking about relationships and building and providing the value, because we want to be here for staying power. That's what we want. We want to be here for staying power. So thank you, Scott, for allowing me to share on this topic and shed some light on really not just an invite, but inviting. And then it takes time, and that's a process. And to lose your agenda and their agenda. And so you can go with an agenda, but it has to be theirs, right?
Yep.
Okay, so now I have the privilege of introducing somebody who's been, she's behind the scenes. She's somebody who runs the show without people knowing she runs the show, really. I mean, she sends the email, she runs the Zoom, she is really I mean, what makes a lot of things that we see, the beginning and the end of a production, she's often the person that's behind it, right? She is an incredible family woman, and she's a great support. She is a really great friend, and she has chosen this industry to be a professional network marketer, and I have to say we are all better for it because she's here. So Miss Marianne, would you please? Thank you, thank you. What, Tom, you were going to say something?
No, I was just going to add on because you are so wonderful.
Okay. You know what? I want to thank you guys for being here today because you are committed to yourself. You're committed to the dream. You're committed to just having a better life. Thank you, Steve. And so it really is a privilege for me to be able to stand up here in front of you. And so many of you I've talked to, shared with, helped, has done whatever. And just being a part of this community and like what Nikki said, I actually owned a marketing and advertising company, right? And what's interesting is I was thinking about Steve because I wanted to be an architect. I took 4 years of architecture in high school. And when I talked to my counselor, they said, what about science? Not so good. What about math? Not so good. How about interior design? I was like, okay, maybe I can handle that. So I went to college for 1 year and fell in love, and the rest was history. But anyway, just being here amongst all of you guys, I just want to know how much you touch my heart every day. And so thank you for that. Okay, so now we're going to get serious, right? I'm going to talk about FU. Are you good for that? Okay, so I was at a presentation and Cheryl Maly came out and she said, I'm going to talk about FU, and everybody's like, what? But what I'm going to talk about is follow-up. But here, I thought about this. I did some research, you know, I was like, I want to bring something unique to the table. And so I decided to change it from follow up, right, to friendship and understanding. I want you to think about that. Just what Nikki, what you hear, I don't even it out very well, but friendship and understanding, that's what follow-up is here. And like Nikki said, you know, everything, it doesn't happen just overnight. Some are pretty quick. I've had some pretty quick things. Met some people, we just connected really well, really fast, and the next thing you know, they're part of this, it's a community. But friendship, when you think about friendship and understanding, that takes some time. It takes a little bit of time to get to know people. And like just having Nikki in front of me, that was just great. Because we're always thinking, oh, all I need to do is ask them about this and tell them and share this, and the next thing you know, they're in our business. And that's not how it happens. And I think people come in and they want it to happen, because I know I did, right? I wanted it to happen really fast. I needed this to happen really fast. And so if we're not prepared, if we don't understand that it's going to take some time, because it takes time to create friends. It takes time to understand where they're coming from. And so be comfortable with that. I've got a couple handouts. One is a sheet that Denise made, and this is great. You can, if somebody, okay, thank you. It is on the 65 and a wake up, but it's also just a great conversation with the coffee shop interview, right? How many of you guys have heard of the coffee shop interview? Okay, quite a few of you guys. So the sheet that I'm handing out right now is a sheet that you fill out as you are becoming a friend, understanding friendship, understanding where somebody's at. We got, oh yeah. We know. We can read between the lines. But anyway, so this sheet, for me, is a great sheet because think of this as your friendship and understanding sheet. So when you meet somebody and you're getting to know them, and like Nikki said, you know, you sit down and you really, it's heart to heart. We don't, I mean, there's some people that are just to come up to me and go, I don't know what you're doing, I want to be a part of it. They don't know it's network marketing.
they see the energy and they see what we're doing, you know, what I'm doing, what my life is doing. It's amazing how many people creep on your Facebook page. I see her traveling a lot. I see her having great success. Really, I'm communicating my life, right, of what's going on. And so, did everybody get their sheet? Almost, okay. So, you know, here, how many of you guys think you have a great follow-up system? Sherry and I were just talking about this, creating a great follow-up system. Okay, again, friendship and understanding system. So this is a sheet of paper that you can use when you meet somebody and you get to start getting to know them. And it says, how did you meet, right? We talked about that. How did you meet somebody? I met this lady in my network marketing group. This probably took about 6 months, right, to develop a relationship, to understand where she is coming from, to figuring out how I could serve her best. She happens to be a nutritionalist, right? So I'm kind of like Nikki. I can't wait to tell her about all the products. I can't wait to tell her how much nutrition we have. But guess what? I couldn't do that on the first meeting. Couldn't do it on the second meeting. Then we had our three-way, you know, Trish came in. She has a nutritional therapy certification and certificate. And so then she got to know this person. All right. Then she started saying how she wanted to do some talks. Next thing you know, we're having another meeting. Now she's going to be doing, she's like, I want to be a part of this. Who wouldn't? And she's in, and she's going to be doing talks about nutrition utilizing our products. But again, we've created this great friendship. I mean, her son came to one of our meetings, and you know, he got to meet everybody. He met Adrian, and he's a millennial, and so they just hit it off. I had no idea what they were talking about, but that was great. But here's this: her son comes to the meeting, tells his mom how much he loved it, and then next thing you know, she's even more interested in what's going on. So sometimes it might be a little bit of the back door. So your little sheet here, right? You're getting to know people and you're getting to understand them, what their hobbies are. So now you know what you can talk to them about, right? You want to speak into their listening. Tom talks about this all the time. Speak into someone's listening. Because as your friendship grows, you know they have kids. You know that they are interested in camping. There's a few people in camping, have a little better experience here, right? And you can share different things with them and build, again, relationship. Okay, so this is just a great little sheet. You can fill this out. You can do like, 1 to 31. And so now you're going to continue building your friendship. It was so funny, I was reading this article about follow-up, and this guy said, he goes, believe me, follow-up works, I know. It can be creepy, the field thing. It can be creepy unless you have success, right? And this guy he said, you have to be relentless with your follow-up. He said, that's how I got my wife. I just kept going back and going back and going back and going back till she finally went on a date with me and success, right? So follow-up can be the development of building that relationship, right? He was selling something. She wasn't quite ready to buy yet, so we had to keep putting that out. All right. So be relentless on your follow-up, but be relentless in creating that friendship. Be relentless in understanding where people are coming from, and sometimes it takes time. So don't get too nervous about that. All right. I can't remember who said this, but somebody said about 90 days, right? What you're doing today, the relationships you're developing today, the understanding you're developing today, the people you're developing today, is going to show up in like 90 days. It's like clockwork, unbelievable. So when you are developing this communication, this invitation, right? Because like, I invite people to go to coffee with me. We don't talk about longevity, right? I just get to know them. The next thing I know, oh, Glenn is having this big Fiesta out of spot. Oh, you mentioned that you want organic food. That's a great place to go. You should come to this, right? And so understanding who these people are and creating those relationships. The next thing you know, these people are, I don't know who these people are that you keep introducing me to, but I want to be a part of this. I want to be part of this community. All right. So 1 to 7 times. Think about this. Your interaction with someone could take 1 to 7 times. I think it was at the ANP they were talking about people are really, really good, right, at that first follow-up. And maybe a little bit better, okay, at the second follow-up. By the third time, we're getting a little bit impatient here. Nothing's really coming up. We haven't talked about the business yet. I'm not sure where it's going. And sometimes by 4, we're done. We've given up. We've decided to move on. We haven't really created a relationship or understanding. And guess what? Here's where the magic happens. On 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, and sometimes it might even take more, but that's okay, right? Because that relation, like Nikki said, a lot of times people will come in. I've had people sign up and disappear. The relationship isn't there. And so this is network marketing. This is life.
Yeah.
This is what we do. This is what we're a part of every single day.
Sure.
Okay. So the next thing I'm going to pass around, has anybody seen this?
Yep.
This is our little famous chart. 52 cards, right? And you're looking for your 4 aces. But I use this relentlessly on my follow-up. And what I do, and you're going to see this and you can pass it around. Oh, I got my little example. My new one here. Okay. So you can see something like this, right? So I am continually meeting people. I'm continually creating relationships and getting to know people and understanding them. Now, technology is technology, right? But I'm still kind of a paper and pen person. And so I write all these names in here, and then I put little asterisks around like how many times I've touched bases with them, I've communicated with them, I've invited them somewhere, I've sent them a tool. Who knows? You just keep going and going and going until the moment's right. And anyway, I'm actually going to bring Adrian Schultz up here if you would like to come on. You guys heard about Adrian here just a few minutes ago. So that's going to be great. I am a half technology person and a half I love pen and paper. I've got more journals. I take notes constantly. I love to write my interviews down and then put them into my phone. And so that's how I continue to create the relationship, right? And I use Google is my app that I use right now so that I can continue to know where I'm at. I put information in about that person. So I transfer it from paper to here. Sometimes I go right in here. It just depends. But I know some of you know that there is, about the contact mapping, right? Does anybody know about contact mapping? Okay, so that's kind of what we do. So we're getting to know people. We're moving them along. We're getting to know relationships. We're connecting people. Sometimes I'm connecting people long before they become part of the longevity. So contact mapping is really important. And if we had an app, which right now, any of you know me, I have alarms going off on a constant basis. and a lot of them are, right? They're just beeping at me. I look at it, it's like, follow up with Sally today. You're supposed to call Sally and follow up with her. Or, call Jane. You're going to, invite her to some event, whatever it is. And so Adrian is working with Tom on creating a contact mapping app. I'm just going to give you a couple minutes to just really quick, just kind of spit it out there. Okay.
Hi. Tell your story. Who are you first?
Well, you already told me.
Yeah, tell it yourself.
Oh.
So here's the true version.
Only part of that.
So I grew up around this business. There's a couple kids running around outside of the back room. I was that kid growing up. I live this. I feel like I have a passenger seat MBA in network marketing. And it's cool because it's actually, you know, he told kind of my story of corporate America and all this kind of stuff, and I have to go and prove to myself that I can do all that stuff. But it's amazing because it's all kind of coming from truth, and it's like, it's stuck. For better or for worse, it's stuck. So here we are. So I'm a tech guy. I was in finance, but I was working for a tech company for the last almost 10 years. I love that stuff. And I've always dreamed of being an entrepreneur. I definitely got that from him. And he's, you know, I've watched the way that he works in his business and the way he works in life. You know, he's been out of the brokerage business for 20 years and somehow started to just put together M&A trends, mergers and acquisitions and all. And it's like, how does somebody do that? Well, how he does that is that he has these relationships and he has this Rolodex. And that is not rocket science up here. It's rocket science in here, right? Because people don't do the little things that they need to do to make themselves successful, and to be able to call that guy that I haven't talked to in 20 years and go, hey, I remember you, I remember this about you. And all of a sudden, it's like those 20 years didn't matter because we're back right where we left off. And some people can do that naturally. I'm not one of those people, and I need a tool, and I think a lot of us need a tool. And so you need a tool for today, because I don't have an app for you yet, but you need a tool, but we want to build you this tool that's going to be the future of that, and it's going to make it really simple, and it's going to make it fun to use and profitable for you immediately. Because, you know, if you go and buy, there's a lot of tools out there like this, and everything that they do makes a ton of sense. But for me, they're too much. And so you try to start using them and then you stop using them because you're like, well, I can't, you know, have a funnel and a thing and this and a warm leads and a cold leads. And I don't want to do all that. I want to just talk to people and not lose track of them. So that's what we're going to do. But in the meantime, get this thing or get, or get Post-it notes or get whatever it is, but figure out a way to not lose people, because that's what happens, right? So I met Joel in Lovewood, and I put him in my phone. I didn't actually, but let's pretend I did. And then I, you know, there's nothing to remind me that I want to follow up, and so I don't. Or I put it even worse, right? I go, oh yeah, I got to follow up with him, and I put it on my calendar, 1 p.m. 2 weeks from now, I'm going to call Joel, and then I'm busy or I don't feel good that day or whatever, I don't do it. And it's gone because your calendar just moves on into the future, right? So figure out some way for you to not lose people. And then if you don't feel like it that day, bummer, but you haven't lost the person. And just hammer that, right? 7 times. And I think it's cool listening to how this all, you know, you're hearing repetition of the same concepts because the invite and the follow-up and all of this stuff, it's all one thing and it's all this. Yeah. And that's pretty cool, right? Because I like friendship. I don't always like selling network marketing, but I always like friendship. So do that, and the business is going to follow. Okay.
All right, hold on 1 second.
Trial.
I have to make segments of the recording, so I have different sections. So at the end of my talk was another section.
Trial.
Is that me or is that?
Yeah, you got to mute yourself, I guess.
Oh, no, I am muted. Oh, I don't know. All right, we'll figure it out. Did you like the way we figured out the raffle thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Trial.
I tried to put my name in there like 5 times. I still didn't. All right.
Trial.
Okay, I'll look at that.
Did I do something?
Trial.
Yeah, maybe somebody's muting or unmuting. All right. So it's kind of interesting because I get to introduce our next person who's already been
Trial.
twice. So did you? I'll get it in just a second here. But anyway, so what I like to say about Joel is he's a very handsome man. Yeah. Can I just say that? Can I just say that? But you know what? I want to say a little story. Here's something funny. I was at my husband's class reunion and we were hanging out on this little pontoon boat and we're taking pictures and we're drinking and we're having a good time and we're posting stuff on Facebook. And all of a sudden, his dad, Tim Maly, pops up and he goes, I know Dad. I know Marianne. I can't believe I know both of you. And so it made me think about the type of person that Joel is because of his dad. because it was his dad being such an amazing guy, and we met, both of them. His mom, it's Kathy, right?
Yeah.
Kathy, or Kathy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think Deb calls her Kathy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so when you get to meet somebody's parents, you get to understand what kind of person they are. They are so giving, so loving, so gracious, and they have made an impact on my life through their son. And so with that, you've already seen them once today. Scott already gave them great edification. But this is one guy, if you haven't met him, if you haven't introduced yourself to them yet, you should have his number in your phone. I'd like to introduce Joel now.
I hope I'm making my parents proud. My dad is for those of you who don't know, my dad's a medical doctor. And when I looked at Dr. K when I said that there. But yeah, he's an MD. He's been an MD for 30 years. And he graduated medical school in 1986. And he's had this career that's just been like this. I mean, it's just been crazy. And the poor guy is as humble as can be, and like Marianne said, loving and kind. But man, he's been through the ringer, and it's crazy. And the reason I say that is because he hears about Dr. Wallach, and he's going, yes, here's a man who's figuring out how to help people on a big, big scale. Because my dad got in the medical field like his dad because he wanted to help people. That's the only reason. He wanted to see patients and help them with their health. And he's such a kind-hearted man, and I'm so grateful to my parents for that. But he wanted to see the patients and help them and equip them, and this is what he saw. And this is nothing bad about the medical industry, because when it works, it can work. But when it doesn't work, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't work. And what my dad didn't like was, he sees a patient, and he's required to bill this person's insurance for X, Y, and Z, right? And so my dad's like, well, person A came in for this, and I don't think they need this drug, so I'm not going to bill them for that. Well, the establishment's going, what the heck, dude? Why aren't you billing them for that? Plus, why aren't you billing them for this, this, and this, and this, and this? My dad's going, no, that's not right. They don't need that. They don't need that. They don't need this drug, because if they take this drug, they need this one, and this one for the side effects from this one. Does anybody track what I'm saying here? Yes. Yeah. So my dad's going, this is mind-blowing. And so he hears about Dr. Wallach, and he's going, yes. So my dad, medical doctor for 30 years, is all in on the longevity business. And just loving Dr. Wallach, loving everything he's got to say. And so I hope that story helps, put some things into perspective. So I didn't plan on sharing that, but thank you again for that introduction. So I want to talk about goal setting. And this is a topic, is there an eraser somewhere? Goal setting is a topic that, how many people set goals? Raise your hand if you set goals. Okay, so we almost all have set goals. And it's one of those topics that it almost sounds boring to say it. Like goal setting. Everyone's like, oh gosh. Like what's this guy going to tell me about goal setting? And so I want to give you all the stuff you've already heard about goal setting, just in a different way. Okay, so I already talked about vision once. So I submit to you that setting goals is secondary to knowing your vision. Okay, so write that down. So the first thing you need to know is what your vision is, because I talked about the vision of longevity. Longevity's got a clear vision. They can see out into the future where they're going. What's your vision, though? What's the vision you have for your life and your family? Right? For your kids. For your everyday experiences. What's that vision? Have you thought about it? Have you considered it? Oh.
Uh-oh, did I take like the
Thanks, Denise. Okay, so this says vision. So know your vision. And so my wife, okay, oh my gosh. I love saying that, by the way. I wrote it, yeah. So, okay, if there's anybody here that married up, this guy, right? Yeah, who agrees after seeing her, right? So my wife is an amazing human. And what am I'm just all over the place. She is an amazing human. And this is directly from her. So, babe, I hope you're okay with me saying this. So here's what she says. She says 3 things. Embrace your vision, embody your vision, and empower your vision. I love those 3 things. Because embrace means you gotta know it, right? You gotta accept it. First of all, define it, right? Create it, know what it is for you, and embrace it. Live it. And then embody. So let's just write that. Embrace. Sorry for the chicken scratches. Embody. And then empower. And this is totally her, like this is her thing. Like she years ago, she came up with this in her head, kind of conceptualized it, and it's been kind of who she is this right here. Because then once you've embraced it and created it and written it down and just, you know what it is, you're embodying it by living your vision, being your vision, like seeing it daily and knowing what your outcomes are, right? And then empowering it, so paying it forward. So empowering others through your vision, because visions inspire. The vision of longevity inspires. Tom's vision inspires. Scott and Juliet, their vision inspires. You know, I want my vision to inspire too. You know, one of my visions is to own an airplane, own my own airplane, to become a pilot, not necessarily in that order. But it could. And then take my dad flying. Again, because my dad's dad was a medical doctor, but he was also a pilot and he owned his own plane. And so he would fly my dad. Hi, Coral. Hi. It's good to see you. Yeah. He'd fly my dad like over the Amazon and all these I had these crazy stories of when my dad was a little psych with his dad in the airplane. And I'm thinking, man, that's so cool. Just the sense of freedom you get to just go wherever you want. I mean, take your own plane, go to the airport, take your own plane up, and just go wherever you want. Tom's a pilot, he knows. So that's part of my vision. You know, I want to do that for my dad again. Take him up in a plane again, you know? That's a pretty cool vision, right? Does that inspire any of you with your visions? I mean, it doesn't have to be the same vision, but it can be similar. So embrace, embody, and power. Does that make sense? It's like create it and be it and then show it, right? So I thought it was pretty cool. So vision first and then goal setting, because your goals will align with your vision, right? Now goals are secondary, and goals are malleable. They're ever changing. They're they fluctuate, but they always align with your vision. They always align with what you see your outcome in your life to be, right? So we're all here to learn, right? Raise your hand if you're here to learn. Yeah. Okay. So is it fair that everybody participates in this next exercise? Yes. Raise your hand if you agree to participate in this exercise. Okay. All right. Nothing crazy though. Okay. So here's the deal. Here's what I want you guys to do. Raise your hand as high as you can. Excellent. Now raise it higher. Now raise it higher.
Oh, don't stand on the black chairs.
Okay. Now raise it higher. Okay, so what happened? Okay, you can all sit down. Sit down. What happened?
Yeah.
The first thing I said was raise it as high as you can. What happened? Right? Because then I said raise it higher, and then there's always another level. I said raise it as high as you can. Why didn't you do that? Do you see where I'm going with this? Coral stood up. She was the only one. So congratulations to you, Coral.
You stood up.
So, and D stood up. Okay, so some other people stood up. So raise your hand as high as you can. In your seat, there's only one level, but you can stand up and raise it even higher. You can probably stand on a chair and raise it even higher, right? You can probably climb on this building and raise it even higher. That's extreme, right? But you break some boundaries, you break some barriers. So it's an illustration, and Tom said, I got the Tom approval on that one. So that was, I love it. It's like an earpiece. I got Tom in an ear. So it's an illustration, though, right? Because why do we set goals for ourselves that are puny goals? Because we think we can only reach this high. You know? And so most people's problem is we set goals so low or too low, and we hit the target. That's an issue, right? Why not set the goal on the roof, right? Or among the stars, and if you miss, you land on the moon, right? That's a Sun Tzu quote. Does that make sense, though? So don't set your goal here. Set it just about higher than you can reach. Okay, because if you set it so high, even like some people are like, okay, if I want to make 100,000 a month, right, 6 figures a month in this business, you know, that's a vision. Like that's a far out vision, right? It's gonna take some effort, some time, some energy, some consistency, all those things. But is that attainable next month? No, right? No. So I'm gonna set my goal for next month just a little higher than I can reach. Because I can reach this high. I probably reach a little bit higher, but set that goal there. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. So that's just like a key tip to just know when you set your goals, first of all, don't shortchange yourself. Don't shortchange yourself and say this is as high as I can raise my hand. No, it's not. You can raise it higher. Okay? So don't shortchange yourself, and also don't set it so far out in the Netherlands that you can't see that far yet. Right? Just set it beyond your reach. So I hope that makes sense. And some application. How much time I got? Did Tom or did John set that timer? 10 minutes. Okay, perfect. So this is an application piece, and so this is the way I set my goals. You know, it's stolen from people that are much wiser than I, and kind of intermixed. So a little taken from Scott, a little taken from Tom, a little taken from Tony Robbins, a little taken from H.L. Hunt. You know, so all this stuff. So here's how I did it. So write down RPM vertically. Write down R and then P underneath it and then M. Okay, so RPM stands for results. P stands for purpose. And M stands for MAP, but MAP means massive action plan. Massive action plan. I'm intentionally writing messy, just so you know. My handwriting is like borderline calligraphy. My real handwriting. I'm intentionally making it. Just kidding. Okay. So result. This basically, and I like the slash here, but outcome. Know your outcome. Okay, because that's where your goal begins. You know, if I want to, you know, Nikki. Okay, I mean, Nikki's a great example. She wanted to just get super shredded and ripped physically for our wedding. Okay, and she's already a pretty ripped person, but she wanted to take it to another level. Okay, so she wanted to get six-pack abs. She's like, I want abs. And so her outcome was on 6/10/2017, our wedding day, to have abs. That was her outcome. So she knew it. She could see it. What's the outcome? You know, I talked to some friends recently who they're looking to fill a position at their cafe. And they're looking to take it to the next level, grow it, make it awesome, more awesome than it already is, right? Build a customer base, all this stuff. And I said, what's your outcome? Because they said, yeah, you know, we want more people and but that's too vague, right? Well, we want, you know, outreach and we want, you know, this, that, and the other. And you can say these things that you want, but unless it's specific, you know, a specific outcome, it's too general. There's no like actual connection. There's no emotion to it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I said, what is your outcome? Well, then they started telling me things like, well, you know, right now we're breaking even. We'd like to do 1.5. I said, that makes sense. That's a measurable, attainable outcome. You know, 1.5 times whatever your cost is, right? So what's your outcome in your business, in your physical health? Her outcome was abs, right? You know, I did a men's physique show. And the first time I did it, it was 2014, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I liked lifting weights, and somebody said, you should do a show. And I said, what does that mean? They said, you know, like a bodybuilding show. I was like, no, I'm never going to do that. And that's weird. You know, like the guys that wear Speedos and stuff, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. That's not what I'm going to do. And so 12 months later, I stepped on stage for the first time. And not in a Speedo. I was wearing board shorts. But, yeah, shorts, yeah. But you do the show. And what was my outcome? Was to take first in that show. I knew that I was going to win that show. there was no other reason for me to do the show in my mind than to win it. Because, you know, I had, you know, at the time had a job as a personal trainer. Now I do it on my own. But I had this perceived outcome that it would benefit me in my business. And some other perceived outcomes. But I knew that I was going to win it. I knew my outcome. So then that moved us down to the purpose. So purpose / why. Why do you want this outcome? So if my outcome is to have abs for a wedding, I'm sorry, I'm embarrassing her. She looks really good. I just almost got myself
This is being recorded.
I told you guys I'm married up, man. See, yeah. So know why you want it, right? So why did I want that objective of the outcome of winning that physique show? Because what I thought it would do to my business, and what I thought it would do to my credibility, what I thought it would do to my income, by all those things. That's why I wanted it. So go crazy on this step. Why do you want your goal? I mean, why do you want to make 6 figures a month? Maybe it's not 6. Why do you want to make a residual income in longevity that exceeds your bills, that matches your living expenses, so that whatever you make on top of that is free money or fun money? Fun money. Why? Maybe your number. What's your living expense number? What's the number that takes out all your bills, your living expenses, and then at the end of the day, what's that number? Is it $5,000? It's actually lower than you think. First of all, if you haven't calculated this, it's a lot lower than you think. So say $5,000 a month. Why do you want to make $5,000 a month in longevity? Why would that be so powerful for you to build a residual income in this business that matches or exceeds your bills? Why would that be so powerful? I mean, I'd spend more time with my kids, you know? I'd take my wife on more date nights. You know, I could start investing in my passions again. You know, I could send my kids to the best private school, right? I could build them a college fund. Whatever it is for you. Is this making sense?
Oh, yeah.
So know your outcome, know your reasons why, and this massive action plan. So, perfect. Thanks, John. So massive action plan is where the rubber meets the road. Because this is all well and good, but it is nothing without the action. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, in this, you know what I like to add, attached to this, and this is where H.L. Hunt comes into play, because H.L. Hunt says, decide what you want. He says, know the reasons why you want it. He said, develop a plan. And then he said, develop a plan. And he says, determine the price. Because there's always a price. And I like to lump the price with the massive action plan. What is this going to cost you to get it? And then resolve to pay the price. Because if you're not willing to pay the price, you're not worthy to have the goal.
That's loaded.
Yeah.
So if you're not willing to pay the price, you're not worthy to attain the goal. So determine the price, resolve to pay it up front. And here's the kicker. It's got to be paid in full and in advance. The price must be paid in full and in advance. You can't say, well, when I start making money in this business, then I'll go to convention. Nope, that's not how it works. Pay the price. You can't say, well, you know, I'll go to my wedding and then I'll start dieting.
What?
That doesn't make sense. I can't say I'm going to win this physique show, but I'll start working out after. It doesn't work like that. So pay the price. Resolve to pay. It must be paid in full and in advance. And so this massive action plan, I like to say, okay, what's the price? In fact, I could show you the other day I was revisiting this. And you only revisit this often, right? When you talk about goals, you want to revisit them often. Keep them top of mind. Keep your vision top of mind, right? So I was revisiting the other day, and I literally write down goals. It's right here. What do I want? What's my outcome? Right beneath it, why do I want it? All the reasons that it makes a difference for me. Right next to that, right under that is the price that must be paid. What is the price that must be paid for me to achieve this?
And then under that is the plan. And when the plan happens, that's the action steps. You know, write them down, figure them out. What are they? Because if you know your outcome, you know, and the promise is so clear, the price is easy to pay. And I love Dr. Ariaza when he says this. When the promise is clear, the price is easy. Right? When the promise is clear, the price is easy. That's why you spend so much time up here. And then the price is like, I'll pay that absolutely. I will absolutely shed my blood, sweat, and tears to get this, because when that promise is so clear, the price is easy. So you can spend less time on this massive action plan, because if this is so powerful and so compelling to you, you're just going to go take action, right? Let's be real. So, but the action steps are like, what do I actually need to do? What are the actions? And then lastly, Tony Robbins says to never leave the sight of setting a goal without taking some sort of action towards its attainment. So if I wrote down on this journal one of these goals, I darn well better take some action to attain that goal that I just wrote down. Could be small, could be large. It's like, I want to have abs for this wedding. What's an action I could take right now? Go to the fridge, find the chocolates that have been in there for, like, not Yenjabi chocolates, right? Find the Hershey's chocolates, the bag kind of chocolates that have been there for way too long. Take them and throw them in the trash. That's an action. That takes you a step closer to your goal, right? Take, like, just throw away all the junk food in your cabinets, right? So I hope that was compelling for you guys, and I hope it like resonated on some sort of level. Is there like, are you guys will you be able to use this? Raise your hand if you could use this.
Oh yeah.
That's the point. The point is that you can get something out that you can use. So I realize my time is up, but you know, does that make sense? I'm taking an action right when you set the goal. Take some sort of action. Call somebody, right? Now I want to, you know, meet 2 new people before I leave this room today. So you there in the red shirt, what was your name? James. Okay, we've met. Yeah. Okay, so Miss with the red bandana, what's your name?
Ananda.
Ananda?
Yes.
Where are you from?
I'm from Georgia, but been in Denver for 7 years.
Okay. All right. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
Okay. So let's talk after. All right. Sounds good. So I just met a new person, right? Simple. But I set the goal to meet 2 new people, and I just took some action towards its attainment. So I love you guys. Thank you for spending some time with me. And I get to bring up back Mr. Scott Bardulis. And here's the deal. I'm going to edify him by saying one thing, and because I could say a million. You all know that I could say a million. But I had a 2-hour conversation. In fact, it was more than 2 hours. With a gentleman named Noah Sigmund. And it was literally about Scott. And this was like last week, right? You were there. And so I talked with Noah Sigmund, who's an incredible leader in longevity, 4-star executive in longevity. Incredible man. He and his wife and 3 girls. And so I just talked with Noah and just about the things we've noticed about Scott and the things we've learned from Scott and how he leads and how he's like just so humble, but on a different level at the same time. And it was a 2.5-hour conversation. So I was really blessed by that. I learned a lot from Noah. And Scott, thank you very much. All right.
Are you guys getting your money's worth out of today? It's so much fun to sit back there and just take it all in and listen to all the different experiences and the wisdom shares. Amazing job, Joel. Thank you for what you just shared. Nikki, thanks for what you shared. Steve, thank you. Marianne, thank you. Amazing job today. Really well done. You guys have just all done a great job. So we're kind of winding down the day, and yet in some ways we're just getting started. Because when you go out of here, it begins, doesn't it?
Yes.
So even though this learning time is winding down, well, you're not going to wind down until Tom and I. We're going to ramp you up before we're out. But then you're going to go out here, and it's going to be time for applications. You know, rubber gets to hit the road.
And you got two choices today. You can say, oh, that was entertaining. That was really fun. I heard some good stories. I took some really good notes. You know, what's amazing to me is so many people take notes, and they've got reams and reams and volumes of journals and folders that have been created. When was the last time you went back and read your notes? Just to take note of that. When was the last time you did? Some of you are great. I know Denise is very faithful. I mean, she looks at those journals as a Bible. I know she does. You know, one time she left her journal behind someplace, and knowing how valuable that was, Tom freaked out. Yeah. He called me. We went to work. We did an all-out search for this journal, and we found it. But it was so valuable to her that there was no price that you could have put on the notes that were inside of that. So I hope you look at your notes the same way, and that you'll actually read them and go back and remind yourself of what you heard, read what you heard, and then go apply it. And just keep practicing the things that you took notes on over and over again. Pretty soon you get good at it. You get really good at it. So my topic today is the compensation plan. And I know some of you right now are thinking, oh, this will be interesting. And some of you don't care about the compensation plan. Some of you really do care about the compensation plan. Some of you don't know how valuable the compensation plan. You know it's there. You know it works. You know if you do the work, you're going to get paid. Somehow it'll just all work out. And you don't really care about the details. So we're going to make this fun today. And I'm going to talk about the compensation plan from a standpoint that you might not be expecting me to talk about. You might be expecting me to write numbers and percentages and do some calculations. Maybe we'll get there. I don't know. I'm going to wing it a little bit. But I do want you to know this. There are things about the compensation plan that are really powerful. And most of the most powerful things about the compensation plan are indirect. For example, what do you think the most important, just play with me here for a second. What do you think the most important piece of the compensation plan is?
People ordering products.
Thank you. People ordering products every single month. How do you get the people? Let's back up on that, because she's totally right. She nailed it. Over. End of subject. Drop the mic. If you don't have any people, then there's nobody to place an order. Does that make sense?
Yep,
and if nobody
that's right.
places an order, does it matter what the compensation plan is?
No.
It really doesn't, does it?
No.
Because 0 times 0 equals 0. So that's the way the compensation plan works. But what if a little bit of a lot? Doesn't that equal a lot over time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me put this in perspective. Coming back to Coral's response, which was 100% accurate. How do you get the people? Relationships. Yeah, sure, that's good. And so the first thing that I like to do with the person, once I know they're on board, once I know they've said yes, once they've seen the plan, the overview, like Joel started the day out with today, once they see all that, they go, hey, this is really cool, this is interesting, what's next, how do I get started? These are the absolutes for me, and I hope they'll be the absolutes for you. If you'll make what I'm going to share with you absolutes, then the compensation plan is going to work very, very well for you. But if you treat what I'm going to share with you now as non-absolutes or maybes or could be's or accidentals, then the compensation plan is going to have a very difficult time working for you. Isn't the compensation plan the same for you as it is for me?
Yeah.
Yep. Isn't it the same for men as it is for women?
Yes.
Isn't it the same for millennials versus baby boomers?
Yeah.
Yes.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. It is universally equal. So therefore, not one single person has any excuse for why the business wouldn't work as powerfully for them as it would for somebody else. The common denominator is you as a person, you as a leader. So here are the absolutes for me. And some of you today have already shared these. I'm just recapping and highlighting what they are so you're really clear that these are non-negotiables. So here's what I do. First thing is I'll sit down and I'll say, Dee, I'm so glad that you've taken the time to see why so many people are experiencing a transformed life. And I take it you're ready to have yours transformed as well. Am I right about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. See how I like to ask a question, because everything that happens is always whose idea?
Theirs.
Their idea, right? It's not my idea, it's their idea. If it's my idea for somebody else, then they will always have a way of coming back and reminding me that it wasn't really that important to me in the first place. You just needed me to be in your business. I don't ever want there to be a mistake about what my role is versus what their role is. It's always the other person's role to be successful. My job is, metaphorically, as I started today out, to be that Sherpa, leader, trail guide, talent scout, tour guide, all that stuff. It's to make the journey fun and responsible along the way. So now that it's Dee's idea in this role play, and she says, yes, I'm ready to experience a transformed life. Is there anything that you're not willing to do, so long as it makes sense and so long as it looks like it's part of the system? Is there anything you're not willing to do? Could you please share that with me up front? Well, you know, here's when I'm not available. Okay, that's good to know. Tell me when you're not available. This is when my job is taking place. Okay, good, that's good to know. So what you're saying is that outside of these things, this is when you're available. That's right. Now, I know when to have expectations for somebody's performance and when to not expect them to be performing, because after all, that could be really frustrating for both parties when there's false expectations. So let me ask you a question, because everyone can relate to this. I'm going to assume that everyone in this room at some point has been gainfully employed. Is that a safe assumption to make about everyone sitting here today? Everyone's been gainfully employed. You've collected a check from a job you've done well. Okay, if you were the person that hired you, so imagine that role, would you hire you if you were going to have a bad attitude? Would you hire yourself if you weren't going to be any fun to be around? Would you hire yourself if you made it clear that you were going to be insubordinate? Would you hire yourself just under those three examples of negativity? Not one of you would hire yourself. So therefore, I want you to think about your prospect for a second. Would you choose to lead somebody, take your time to pour into them, to expend your energy, building them up, teaching them, training them, role modeling to them, leading by example, showing them the steps of success? Would you do all that if they were clear up front that they were uncertain, if they were going to be insubordinate, if they were going to overpromise and underdeliver you, if they were unclear about their dream or their vision, like Joel talked about? Would you hire yourself if you were that person? And I know the answer is no. Therefore, would you lead somebody if you knew they had the same traits or attributes inside of longevity?
No.
The answer is no, correct?
Yeah.
Then why do you do it? Just a note. Don't spend your energy wishing that somebody else will be who they're not telling you they're willing to be. That's why I ask a lot of questions right up front. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Because then I have no surprises. They have no surprises. I'll say to the brand new person, here's what you can expect out of me. Go ahead and pull out a notepad, write it down. Here's what you can expect out of me. I'm going to give you the very best of myself. And what I want you to know about that expectation is you can call on me. Here's my cell phone number. When you call me, if I don't answer the phone, would you please send me a text? Let me know that you just called and that you'd like to speak to me. Sometimes I can multitask. Sometimes my time is very occupied. I might not be able to pick up the phone, but I don't want you to think for a second that that means that I'm too busy to talk to you. Send me a text. I'll get back to you as fast as you can. I cannot promise that I'll get back to you in the next 5 minutes or even the next hour, but what I want you to know is I'll get back to you as fast as possible and that you're a priority to me. Does that sound nice when you're the person that's going, hey, what can I expect from this leader? So I make it clear what you can expect. Here's what else you can expect. I'm going to make sure that you're informed of everything that you need to know about. If there's something you need to know, I'm going to make sure that you're informed about that. So if you don't hear about it and you heard it from someplace else and you didn't hear it from me, then all I want you to know is that I don't think that that's valuable or important for you to spend your time on, even though you heard about something from someplace else. Do you see how it's easy for the person that you're leading or mentoring to get caught up in the weeds and distracted by all kinds of stuff flying around?
Yeah.
There's lots of opinions, if you haven't noticed yet, about longevity. There's lots of opinions about network marketing. There's lots of opinions about what you should do with a brand new person when they're getting started. There's opinions about how much time you should take about educating people on products versus educating people on recruiting versus educating people on other things. So I make it clear, if something's important for you, I'll make sure you're the first person to know. Sound fair?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds fair, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Great. Isn't this all building to your confidence level in your leader? You as a leader, when you're prospecting, don't you think your prospect is going to be more confident and competent, more steadfast, more resolute about their decision to join you if you make sure that the expectations up front are clear?
Yes.
You would think so, wouldn't you? Yeah. So I say, great. Now that you know what to expect out of me, let's talk about what we can expect out of you. See, if you go first, it makes it easy for you to put the spotlight on them. I have no troubles talking about expectations with my brand new recruit. So what I'm clear on so far is that you've given me when your time parameters are. So on a scale of 1 to 10, when you're free, you're telling me you're free in all these times. On a scale of 1 to 10, what level of commitment can I expect out of you? Are you the type of person that's going to tell me your cat died and that you can't show up for something and you're going to use the can't word all the time with me? Are you that type of person? No. Okay, great. So I won't be hearing funny excuses, right? Like something would be extreme if you said you weren't available. And the reason why they're going to respond favorably is because you're going to ask them a question. This dream that we just talked about, this vision as Joel just taught you, these goals that you have for your life, the notes that you just took off of here, if you applied what Joel just talked about, and you're coming back to them and you're really clear, you ask them this question. This is very important. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being it's extremely important, and 1 being it matters nothing to me. Where do you fall on that scale of 1 to 10 for accomplishing these goals and dreams that we talked about? And they're going to give you a number. And when you word it like that, typically, almost every single time, people say a 10, and if it's not a 10, it's a 9. Rarely do people say, yeah, I took all this time to tell you what's so important for me, and it's a 6 or a 7. They're telling you what's an emergency. They're telling you what's vitally important. And so you take that information now, and that's your holy grail. That reason that they gave you is why the compensation plan is going to work. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so now you've had this conversation. Now you can talk to them about the next most important thing, which is their list. I'm going to ask you a question right now, and I'm not expecting more than a few hands to go up, if any. It's possible nobody's going to raise your hand to this, and I'm telling you it's vitally important, but it's so rare, nobody does it. And yet I'm telling you it's one of the most important things you could do. So why could one of the most important things that you could ever do be something that nobody does? And I'm going to tell you what it is. It's because this is a path of resistance. And people travel the least path of resistance. We don't like conflict. We don't like to bump heads. We don't like to hold people accountable because accountability oftentimes can involve pushback. It can involve discomfort. We don't, as humans, we don't like discomfort. We like to be comfortable. We like everyone to like us. We like everybody to love us. We like everybody to say, oh, here comes so-and-so. It's easy to be around them. You know, sometimes the reason you're so easy to be around is because you're so soft. How about that? Sometimes the people that will hold you accountable are the most powerful, important, life-changing, necessary people in your life. And when you can be okay with being held accountable, when you can be okay with being uncomfortable, then you're going to grow. But if you keep telling yourself, I only want to be around people that make me feel okay about where I am and are always enabling me to stay where I am, and nobody holds me accountable, then you're not going to grow. Just telling you. You're just not going to grow. You'll be the story of the person who's showing up 5 years from now who hasn't rank advanced one single time. But why will you stay here? Because it feels so good. It just feels good. Sometimes we get stuck feeling good, and feeling good isn't necessarily the way that you get to success. Someone's got to be able, you've got to give people that you trust and that you have confidence in, you have to give them permission, and you have to be okay that they make you uncomfortable. You have to be okay with that. When you can get okay with someone holding you accountable, then the compensation plan is going to work for you. You agree with that, Denise?
I love that.
You got to be able to counsel. Like sometimes Juliet and I will call Denise and or Tom, and we'll have uncomfortable conversations. It's not like they're being mean. Sometimes they're just holding us accountable. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the reason, I believe, one of the most powerful reasons, and there's several reasons, that we've been able to grow into the leaders that we are today in longevity is because right out of the gate, we gave Tom and we gave Denise permission to say whatever they needed to say, no holds barred, 24/7, and call us on anything. And when we gave them that permission, that was like the keys to unlock the entire vault to the compensation plan. How powerful is that? Are you willing to have the compensation plan work for you? It's powerful. Are you willing to have the compensation plan work for you? If you are, it means that you're willing to get uncomfortable. It means that you've given some people permission to hold you accountable and call you out when things aren't going the way they should be. That's the compensation plan. So here's the piece. I told you I was going to ask you a question, and I'm not expecting that anybody's going to raise their hand, except maybe a few. And yet, it is so important. When you sit down with your person, the last person you prospected, maybe that's the better way to word this, the last person you prospected, in the first 24 hours, did you get a list from them? In the first 24 hours, the last person you prospected that said yes, meaning they saw the plan, they saw the business overview, did you get a list from them? Do you have a physical, tangible list, either in paper, in your hand from that person, or texted or emailed to you on your phone? Do you have access, one way or another, to lay your eyes on a list of people that that person knows? I told you I wasn't expecting any hands. I will not entertain. This is going to sound totally harsh, but I love you all.
We love you, Scott.
This is going to sound so harsh, but I still love you. So just take it this way. I wouldn't say this if I didn't think it would have an impact on your business. Do you believe that about me?
Yes.
Do you know me well enough to know that I wouldn't bother to say something if I didn't think that was going to have value for you taking up 4 hours on a Saturday?
Yes.
Okay, so do you give me permission to be totally blunt?
Yes.
I will not sit down with you. I will not talk to you. I will not discuss longevity with you unless you have submitted to me a list. It's pointless. Why would I take all of my time away from my beautiful wife, away from my children? Why would I take up my time to go sit with you for 30 minutes, for an hour, for 2 hours, and tell you everything I know about network marketing, how you could build your business, if you even has a list? What would you do with all the knowledge that I imparted to you? Nothing is the answer. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to do until you've decided that you're willing to talk to somebody. Pointless, zero, waste of time. So I don't want to waste my time, and you don't want to waste your time. So would you be willing, now knowing what you know, so the compensation plan can work for somebody, would you be willing to tell somebody right up front, I'm willing to lock arms with you. I'm willing to get my fingernails dirty under every single nail, totally caked in mud and dirt. I'm willing to get stinky and sweaty with you. I'm willing to go fight something big, wrestle wild dingoes, whatever it takes. Let's just go do something. I'm willing to do all that under one condition, Ivan. Would you give us a reason to go out and fight for your dream by telling me who you love and care about more than anything else in this world? Because somebody's going to have to be blessed with the stick called success. Somebody has to receive the blessing of success. Who's that going to be, Ivan? And so here's what we do. I don't just say, go figure it out and tell me when you come up with that list, because once we walk away, it's harder to build that list. So here's what I like to do. Ivan, I've got my notes out here right now, and I'm going to just make a chapter in my notes tab. I got an iPhone 7 here. And I'm gonna make a little chapter here under notes. It's dated today, and this is called Ivan's Vision, Ivan's Dream, and Ivan's List. Okay, so go together. Ivan, who of all the people that you could think of being prosperous with, being abundant with, traveling the world with, experience the greatest that life has to offer, who are the top 5 people that mean the world to you? I mean, you're in your 40s now, Ivan. You've crossed paths with, I think they say the average person by the time they're 40-something has met and knows 2,000 people. You might go, wow, that's a lot of people. Is that really true? The survey says it's true. I've never done the survey myself. Let's just say that's a lot of people. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Yep. Even if it was hundreds, that's a lot of people. That's plenty of people, so he can go back as far as he needs to. And my job is to make his assignment simple. Because we're partners, right? When you have a partner, do you want your partner to struggle? Not more than necessary. That's the key. Not more than necessary. They're going to struggle. Just give them a hand up, not a hand out in the process all along the way. So I'm going to help you out with this. Who do you know that? ... Hey, what about this chapter in your life? ... When you went to high school, who were your besties? ... Who works on your car? ... Who do you go to church with? Who do you go running with? Who do you go to the gym with? If you needed help at 3 to 5 o'clock in the morning when everybody else is sleeping, who are the top 5 people that you call that you could depend on for everything? Who's the most successful person you know right now that makes bank? Who do you know that's busier than all get out, that is just constantly, I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that, oh, that would be nice. Who do you know that hasn't been on a vacation because they're working their knuckles to the bone and probably hasn't breathed life really in the last couple of years? Who do you know that's been overlooked for a job? Who's complaining to you right now that calls you, and when you have a fun conversation, all they want to talk about is the problems in their life? Who do you know? Who do you know? You just have to play that game. If you'll play that game on day number 1, you get that out of the way. Now you don't have to play that game anymore for a while, and you've got plenty of something to do. So now I know that when I teach you how to invite, like Nikki just did, when I teach you how to invite, I know it's not falling on deaf ears. The invite doesn't even matter unless you have somebody to talk to. Do you agree with that, Nikki? Yeah. It doesn't matter. You weren't going to have anybody to talk to anyways. Waste of time. So validate yourself. Validate yourself. Tell yourself, I'm doing the right thing by this person, because in the right order, I'm holding people accountable to get the foundation created so that we can build up. The dream, the vision, the goals that Joel talked about, all those things, the storytelling that Steve talked about earlier. By the way, was that not an incredible lesson that you guys got today on the power of storytelling? I mean, you can tell he's a very organized, well thought out person. I mean, the grid up here, the fives, and have you ever seen anybody draw a more perfect circle? Do you have any drawings in here right now? He can draw like nobody's been. We have traveled with Stephen D to Greece. We've been to Turkey. We've been to all through the islands in the Mediterranean. We've been to some pretty cool places. You know what's neat about Steve? Everywhere he goes, you're taking it and going, whoa, look at that building, look at that structure, look at that art, look at that sculpture. He's off in the corner, and literally in 20 minutes, he has hand sketched the most amazing, perfect image of what you're taking in. You need it, you take a photo, he draws it. When he left his job that he was talking about earlier, 42 people came to say goodbye to him. You know what he did? He gave every single person a personalized hand sketch from someplace unique in the world. Isn't that thoughtful? Pretty thoughtful. When he drew that wheel up there, have you ever seen somebody put a grid together more perfectly freehand? Who needs computer programs? Wow. So that art of storytelling, you teach that to somebody who's prepared to talk to somebody. Right. Why would you tell them how to tell a story if they're not going to tell a story to anybody? See how we can get our priorities all whacked up? Yeah, that list is important. If they're not willing to give you a list, here's what I literally say to somebody. You know how you mentioned to me that vision you had for your future was like a 10 out of 10, that nothing would stop you? What's the process here for you slowing down about creating this list? Hold them accountable. Why is this a roadblock? What do I need to do to help you get past that? What's happened in your past that's made it difficult to discuss this situation right now? Can you imagine if you and I are talking to everybody and we have your passion and my knowledge about communicating with people, when those two things collide, can you imagine there's like nobody that would reject us if we went together 2-on-1 to every single person on that list? My experience says 7 or 8 people out of 10 are going to say yes. What's the holdup? So 2 or 3 people out of 10 are going to say no. Those are pretty good odds, don't you think? Yeah. So let's get busy. Back to that list. Just keep coming back to it. Come back to that list. Get it done. Are we clear about this?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. The other thing that I want you to know, it's an absolute that you go through this process. It's not an absolute necessary that they all respond or react the same way. It's just necessary that you do it. My opinion is that when you lay out the business model, if their dream or vision is a 10 out of 10 and nothing's going to stop them, then that means money isn't going to stop them either. So when you say the best path to success with longevity, the very, very best thing that you can do to take action is to also, with that list, get yourself a CEO pack. Your new prospect must have the experience as part of their story, as Steve talked about, of what they've experienced by simply swapping where they shop. They don't need a miracle story. They don't need to have a health story. They don't need to have overcome some dramatic weight loss thing or lost the tennis elbow or be able to talk about the arthritis going away or they can see better. That's all nice side stuff. That's cool. It's cool to hear those stories. And people have those stories, but you don't need that. So stop convincing yourself that someday when I get this dramatic story, then suddenly everyone will be attracted to my business. Let me tell you something. They'll be less attracted to your business. I'm serious. Here's why. I'm going to tell you why right now. The reason why they're going to be less attracted to your business is because the more emphatic and dramatic you're making something sound about yourself, then it's putting a miraculous highlight on our products. And as soon as you start putting a miraculous highlight on the products, now everybody's going, prove it. Yeah. How are you going to do that? How do you prove that our products are that great? I like what Juliet said earlier. Swap where you shop. And Joel reworded it. If all of our products were equal to all the stores you're already going to right now, which they're not, but if they were, that's all I have. I've got 4 minutes.
But you're the top dog here. You can take as much as you want.
But I really have 4 minutes. That was fast.
That's good.
That's good. Keep talking. Am I boring anybody?
No.
Okay. So the products. Is that where we were?
Swap where you shop.
Swap where you shop. Let the products work the miracles for people when they swap where they shop. I'd rather somebody come to me and go, whoa, that was amazing. I had no idea. And you're going, that's right. Aren't those amazing? And they go, yeah, they're amazing. This is great. But what you're falsely mistaken by is that because you had a miraculous experience by the products, that you're going to go tell somebody that our products are miracle workers. And you start making this list. So let's talk about this list again. You start making a list of all the people you know that have health problems. Let me share this with you. That is a fatal flaw for your ability to fast track yourself successfully through longevity. Let me explain. Is it because that our products don't save lives? No. Our products, in my opinion, I'm not making any health claims. I'm not supposed to do that, and I'm not going there. I've seen people all the time have very dramatic outcomes from using our products, and I expect that they would. Why? Because Dr. Wallach is behind our products. Because other great leaders and product formulators have come together from all over the world to bring the best of science and the best of nutrition and the very best of pure and organic and safe ingredients with no junk inside of them. I know that's the quality of our products. So logically, can we all agree that we all know that our products have got to be in the upper echelon of all the quality of products on the face of the planet?
Yes.
We can, but now attempt to go tell somebody that doesn't know that or understand. Because here's what happens. You go to your diabetic friend, for example. You go to your diabetic friend and you're like, oh my goodness, you're not going to believe this. I met these people and everyone I've talked to has been cured of diabetes, and I know you've been taking these shots in the gut for the last 10 years. I'll bet you never want to take another one of those again. You've got to do this. You've got to take that. And the next thing you know, they're doing this at you. It's unbelievable. That's why they're doing that. Because if they have type 2 diabetes, for example, don't you think you're not the first person that they've told that to? They've told 50 other friends of theirs that they're type 2 diabetic. Out of those 50 people, how many of those people have given them advice to get rid of their diabetes? 50 people. Right? And so now suddenly you're on a long list of opinions. And you're the last person to have given them opinion. And they've tried all the other 50 things, and they still have type 2 diabetes after all 50 pieces of advice that are all different. And now you're the next person that came along. Do you understand why it's complicated to take this product route and play this convincing or show me game? And now you're going to take it personally when they don't respond to you going, oh my goodness, I've always wanted to get rid of my type 2 diabetes, and I'll do anything you say right now. I mean, why wouldn't I? Because I don't want this disease anymore, right? You have found out by now that's not necessarily the way people react. True or false? True. Okay, so I'm going to just propose something to you. We do want our friends that have type 2 diabetes to be in a better position than the one they're in, yes or no?
Yes.
Here's how you save their life. You show them the business plan, of longevity, which is baked into that plan, has a conversation about our high quality products, does it not?
Yes.
If they want to be alleviated, enhanced, improved, whatever the words are we're supposed to use legally about all that, if they want a better life pertaining to their diabetes, and you show them the plan that has a baked-in solution to quality products, if it's that important, won't they come and raise their hand and say, hey, it looks like you have something geared toward health. That's really important to me. Do you have anything that would help diabetes? Isn't that easier?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. But only some people have challenges with diabetes. But I'll tell you what everybody has a challenge with, and it's money. Everybody has a challenge. Even the people that have money, typically there's something stressing them out too financially. Everybody seems to have found a way to be broke at a different income level.
Yeah.
So you're going, oh, that person makes $150,000 a year. You judge them going, I make 50. I'm super stressed. They make 150. They probably don't have any stress, because if I made 150, I wouldn't have any stress. Yes, you would. You'd go find out how to be stressed, because you'd go finance a new boat. You'd finance a new snowmobile. You'd finance something, and now you spend the money. And that's what we mean by being broke at a different income level. So everybody needs financial peace. I think one of the biggest gifts that we can give people inside of longevity is financial peace. Amen. When you can go to bed at night, either knowing you're on your way to it's about the light at the end of the tunnel. It's not the magic wand. It's the light at the end of the tunnel. You know you're on the right path. You've got connections, you've got leadership, you've got partners. You're heading in the right direction. Now the compensation plan can work for you. This isn't the compensation plan training you were thinking of, was it? Is it okay, Coral?
Great.
Okay, are we clear on lists?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it vitally important or kind of important?
Critical.
Thank you. Right from the front row, it's critical. You're missing the boat. As soon as they say yes to longevity, hey, it could be as subtle as, this looks interesting. I'd like to know more. I think this is great. In any positive thing, this is your chance to say, great. Are you okay if we talk about a few simple things that will have an impact on you being wildly successful? Yes, great. Get into the vision, get into the list, get into the reminder. In the plan, they will have seen the value of a CEO pack. Assume they're going to get one. It looks like this. Let's go ahead and talk about that CEO pack. You see the value of that, right? And they say, right, great. And so don't say, well, do you think you could probably get one of those? Say, let's go ahead and get your CEO pack. If you are sitting with them and you're not prepared to do a registration, it means come to the meeting already knowing what the Wi-Fi code is. If you go to a meeting and you get to the point like, let's go ahead and register you, and suddenly you're like, oh, the Wi-Fi doesn't work in here.
Guilty.
Bad. Yeah, it happens, didn't it? And then you blew it. You couldn't even do the registration on the spot when you want to. Guess what could possibly happen? They don't have any skin in the game yet. They walk out because you weren't prepared, and they know that. It's not they weren't prepared, they said yes. All the signs were there, and you're like, oh, I didn't bring a paper app, I don't know the Wi-Fi code in here, my phone's not working, and suddenly you're like, we'll do it later. Do you know the percentages of later ever arriving in that scenario drop dramatically?
Yeah.
Because they're going to go out and talk to somebody. When they go out to talk to somebody, if they've already decided in and they've already bought their CEO pack and they're already registered, when they get some negative chatter, they'll defend their decision. But if they haven't made that commitment and they go out and they get negative chatter, they're going to be swayed by that other person's opinion. If you're already in something, you defend your ground. You took the stand. But if you're not in it yet, then there's a battle going on, and the other person might win over you. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Preparation is powerful.
Yeah.
That's how you make the compensation plan work. That's why the compensation plan works, is because you were prepared. You told them what they needed to do, and if you were the boss, and you had a company, and you were doing an interview, and you were hiring somebody, and there they were, wouldn't you tell them what was expected of them right up front on day number one? Why would you want a confused employee? Why do you want a confused prospect? Why do you want to confuse business partners going, well, I don't really know what to do. I guess we're supposed to get together next Tuesday. Today's Saturday. 3 days are going by. They're biting their nails, sleeping uneasy at night. They don't know what's expected. So that's why you tell them right up front on day number 1, all these expectations. Then the compensation plan is going to work for you. So in conclusion, I'm going to draw 2 pictures. Here's number 1. You've got to memorize this, and you have to, with expectations right up front. When you have someone with a financial goal, the list is simple. This is simple if they have the list. So do the list first, then show them this. Here's the picture. Okay? It's just a real simple drawing. Sorry, I'm not as, perfect as Steve. Drawing shapes. That's pretty good, though. Not too shabby. Okay, that's the drawing. This is the image of the title of sales associate. And you do not want to leave any money on the table for yourself or for your people. So you have to teach sales associate. There's 2 positions. I think there's 13 in the total compensation plan. And when they look at this, they're going, wow, there's Mount Everest, there's 5-star executive, there's ambassador. That's cool, but we're going to bite this mountain off 1 step at a time. When you climb Everest, you know that there's 5 base camps?
Yeah.
There's 5 destination points that you go to. You're not even thinking about the summit. You're just like, the first goal is to hike in for whatever it is, 10 days to base camp. That's at like 16,000 feet. That's the first goal. You get good there. You acclimatize, you make sure you're happy, you're feeling good, and then you go to the next camp and you hang out there. And then you go to the next camp. You're going to do that with longevity as well. So here, this first position is sales associate, and everybody gets a CEO pack unless they choose out. Make them choose out. Don't choose for them, or be like the person who discovered a cocoon and a struggling butterfly to hatch out of the cocoon. If you help that cocoon to make their struggle simple and they don't go through the struggle, you'll kill it. That butterfly will not last. You'll kill your prospect if you steal the opportunity for your prospect to struggle as well. Maybe that CEO pack is a struggle. Maybe they're going, I don't have the money. Great. Money never stopped anybody from getting anything they ever wanted in their life. It's the value that stops them. So when you find pushback on people getting CEO packs, it's simply the value. It just hasn't been placed there. How do you know I'm right? I'll tell you how I'm right. I have a brand spanking new Cadillac Escalade ESB Platinum Edition sitting in the parking lot. I really do. Here's the keys. So, do you have the money to afford one of those? Probably not. What if I told you that the price was only 20 grand for the thing? Now you'd probably find a solution. You're going, wait a second, I know those cars cost more than $100,000 and I can get it and it's brand new for $20,000. At the very least, you are going to do everything in your power to go tell somebody else that you found the deal of the century, and you're going to negotiate with somebody to help you. Somebody that has $20,000, you're going to go to them and say, hey, I've got an investment for us. We can buy this thing for 20 grand. I know right now we can go hawk it down at the auction for 80. Some guy paid 120 for it. We can go hawk it for 80. We're going to make $60,000. I'll split it with you. We're going to get all of our money back. I'll give you 30. I'll keep 30. It's going to be a great day. Right?
Right.
Wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
Wouldn't an entrepreneurial, clear-thinking, minded person come up with some scheme like that?
Yeah.
And they'll do that in longevity too. Difference is, we're talking about $500. We're not talking about 20,000. It should be 20 grand. It should be 120,000. Personally, I think they could easily sell this whole thing as a franchise because of the possibilities that are here. There's more possibilities here than there is at Starbucks, in my opinion. Why do people run to open up Starbucks for $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $1 million for the franchise? And they tell you right up front, you're not going to make any money for 5 years. You're going to be the first person here and the last person to leave. You're going to open up all the doors every morning. You got to hire all the employees. It's one thing to buy the franchise, and it's a whole other ball game to put all the equipment in there and stock the shelves with inventory and hire the employees and be the scheduler and be the time clock person that has to do all the HR stuff. That's you if you're the franchise owner. You got to figure all that out. They tell you that right up front. And yet, you drive around this country, I don't care what town you're in, there's a Starbucks on every third corner. True or false?
True.
Why does everybody sign up for a lifetime of possible debt? There's no guarantees on that whatsoever, and they tell you you're going to make nothing for 5 years. You're going to just see deficit, 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 month after month, year after year, operating in the red. If something's sucking wind, you're not going to be able to take a paycheck, but people sign up for that.
Yeah.
And your credit's on the line, and your social security number is the one that's held at the bank. And if things don't work out well, you're going to file bankruptcy. I haven't been able to find those risks that exist at Longevity. We're talking about a few $100, for goodness sakes. Do you see the value here? Yeah. When you can express, like I just did with you, where you're like, light bulb, ding, 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 hello. When you can come across as that excited, believable, passionate, postured, composed, convicted person, then people suddenly say, they're not even thinking about whether they have the money or not. All they're thinking is, no problem, I'll find a way, I'll make it happen. It'll be done today, it'll be done this afternoon, latest by tomorrow. Do you believe that? Yes. I believe that. That's why we've never had a challenge bringing people to Longevity and helping people get CEO packs. You get a CEO pack one time, just once. So Darcy and Amber, I'm just calling out your names because I know that you're newer to the business at this point. You get a CEO pack one time. So we're talking about $499 plus tax and shipping. Here's how you get your money back. This sales associate position, if this is you, right here, how much volume do you have if you just got a CEO pack? 500. 500. If 7 out of 10 people that see the business plan from a qualified person that's really good at it, put all those caveats in there, then the likelihood of these people getting a CEO pack is pretty high. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
Yeah. So if all 3 of them get CEO packs, how much volume do you have?
2,000.
You have 2,000, including your own order. You know what it takes to be a CEO, or excuse me, a sales associate? Here's what it takes. It takes 150 in your spot, and it takes 50 in these 3 spots right here. If you add these numbers together, what's this, and this equal?
300.
300. Sales associate is 300. Instead, how much volume do you have?
2,000.
You have 2,000. So with these 3 orders right here, you have almost single-handedly, through commissions and bonuses and the way all that works, not going to draw it out, you've just about made all your money back right there. So that's how you put all your money back into your pocket. For every day after this occurs, everyone's doing what Juliet taught. They're swapping where they shop. I don't care what you buy. I really don't. I don't care if it's mouthwash. I don't care if it's deodorant pump. I don't care if it's itch cream. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I don't care what it is. Just swap where you shop and get your products through Longevity. Make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's really, really simple. So this is this. How are we doing?
You got plenty of time.
Plenty of time? Okay. Good. Now, this is sales associate. Let's talk about the only other position you need to understand in Longevity, and it's called 1-star executive. So this is sales associate. Now I'm going to draw a new picture. 1-star exec. Only difference is that you duplicated what you just did. You're sales associate. You're going to turn these 3 people into sales associates. So all we have to do to pull that off is this right here. Right? That's it. Now you have this inside of each of these 3 people. So if all 3 of these people each got a CEO pack, did someone tell me how much volume this is?
6,500.
Yep.
Yep. 6,500. Because right here, you have 4,500. 9 times 5 is 4,500. And then here, you have 1,500. That's $6 grand, and your own order is 6,500. Here are the qualifications for 1-star executive. You have to have a personal order of 250. And then you need to have 3 qualified sales associates. So that would be doing this right here. So you got 150s. And then here, you need to have all of these be 50s. Oops. What would the volume be if we went to the minimum? Somebody add that up for me. How much is it? No, we added up the minimum.
50. 1150.
Say 1150?
1150.
Okay, 1-star executive, you have to have that drawing. It can look like anything else besides this, as long as this is baked somewhere into the middle of it. Does that make sense, Amber?
Yes.
Darcy, does that make sense to you? Okay, so you have to have this drawing. Can it be something else?
Yes.
Can, right? You can have more legs. You can sponsor more people. These people could sponsor more people as long as it looks like that's somewhere in the middle. That's 1-star executive. So now look at this picture. You have here, instead of the minimums, I showed you what the minimums are, you also have to have 5,400 in total group volume. Your total team, 5,400 in volume. We have that. We have 6,500. That means some people didn't need to get CEO packs. Not everybody had to get a CEO pack, and some of them aren't going to get CEO packs. If you come up short, some of these people are not going to live by minimums. They're going to go sponsor other people. There's going to be more legs and all of that junk. That's 1-star executive. If you're turning out sales associates and 1-star executives quickly, then you're rank advancing. You're growing. Everybody's getting their money back, correct?
Correct.
Right. So one time, everybody gets a CEO pack. After that, swap where you shop and just fulfill your personal requirements based on your place in the compensation plan. This is the high side. Not everybody needs to spend this money in order to qualify for their check. This is for 1-stars. Questions about this?
I'm sorry, I'm so confused about this. The 500 is always every month?
How many times do you get a CEO pack?
Once.
One, so that's one time.
But the qualifying volume is confusing to me.
Okay.
So you reach about 1-star, and you're like, you got the qualifying, but then the next month you have to still qualify for that number.
Every month, your group has to have 5,400 in total team volume to be a 1-star executive.
Be paid as
To be paid as a 1-star executive.
Still, you don't lose the title.
So think of it this way, Starbucks. If you own a Starbucks franchise and you had 500 people come through your door that month and everybody bought a cup of coffee one time for $5,
right.
that's an exact amount of money, right?
I get that, but I'm hung up on the 500. They're not always going to do that.
No, they're going to get a CEO pack how many times? One time, and then they're going to swap where they shop. So their natural order might possibly drop to something less. Ours doesn't. Our household right now, even though we only have to, we actually at our position have to spend 300 QB every month. The reality is we don't do inventory. You are not going to walk into our house and find all kinds of piles of product just in our personal consumption. We just went, okay, we're buying these products from Costco, these products from Walmart, these products from King Soopers, these products from wherever, and we're going, we can get all those inside of longevity. So we had an $800 budget smattered through all 4 of those stores on a monthly basis. We're now getting those products through longevity. That's the ease of swapping where you shop. So just say, okay, I'm going to have to spend this budget anyways. If we can get this through longevity, doesn't it make sense to swap where you shop?
Yeah.
Because this company could have the potential to make you very wealthy, but Costco will never make you wealthy. King Soopers will never make you wealthy, and they're going to take your money the same way that longevity does. The difference is longevity has a gift for you. Longevity can bless you with something. King Soopers can't do that. Does that make sense? Kelly's?
Makes sense and makes dollars.
It makes what?
Dollars. Dollars.
Thank you. Makes sense and it makes dollars. So don't worry about all this. Just focus on building into people and everything will find a way to take care of itself. Any other questions about the compensation plan?
Yes.
Anybody else? Mariko, got it? Got it? Got it, Tim? Okay. How many of you are willing to get that list done finally? Raise your hands. If you're willing to put the list together, raise your hand if you're willing to put the list together. If you didn't raise your hand, you're either not listening, not paying attention, or you understand that the compensation plan will not work for you. Okay? That's a total possibility. It either won't work for you and you don't want to participate, or you are listening, or you raise your hand because you're ready to play. So that's how the compensation plan works. And now I'm going to turn the time over to a very great set of friends of mine and Juliet's. So when we came to Longevity, you heard Tom tell our story just a little bit about how we crossed paths and how we came into relationship. All I want to add to that, because that was very well said, all I want to add to that is that it all started because Tom and Denise recognized something missing in our lives. They recognized that there was a void, there was a cavity, something was not right. They just took the time to discover what that was. And when they discovered what it was, we had a choice. We could either be open and honest and vulnerable and transparent, or we could play this game of life is great, life is cool, we want them to believe life is better for us than it really is. Do we get served if we tell everybody everything's perfect? No, we only got served because we said something's missing. And when we did that, they listened. And they responded to our need, and they served us from where they were, and they listened to what we wanted. One of the first things that we did was we got on this whiteboard right here, and it was like right here. We drew a picture because he held us accountable to that list. The first thing we did is we talked about that list. And I said, can I draw on this whiteboard? He said, yes. And we started to draw a picture. We said, here's me and Juliet. It starts here. So I said, does this have to look any certain way? And he goes, no. And I said, well, then I'm going to draw a picture of a flower. And it was like the center of the flower and all these petals coming off of it. And so we had this beautiful image. Do you even still have that picture, Tom?
I might, but I'm not sure.
So we drew arms and extensions, and we put the people that we cared about most closest to the nucleus, closest to us in relationship. Then we asked a very smart question. Who do we know that knows these people? And so we're going, oh, and I'm making up names. Ron. You know, here's Ron. And then we're going, who do we know that knows Ron? Oh, we know like 10 people that know Ron. And we drew fingers of names off of that name. And then we went as far as we could, and pretty soon we had this multiple layer list of names, and everybody was connected. Like Adrian was talking about a little, this concept of contact mapping. It's like figuring out in advance who knows who and how are they all assimilated. Then we would ask questions like, out of all those people we put down, do we change our mind? Who's most influential? Who rules the roost of this social nucleus? And then we said, let's go talk to that person. And we did, and we would. And we got rejected sometimes. But the majority of the time, people said yes. And our business started to evolve and move very, very quickly. When I drew these pictures up here, coming back to sales associate, I want you to do this with your new person immediately and explain to them that this can be done in a week. Not the big picture, this picture, sales associate, in a week. Couldn't somebody make a decision and talk to 3 or 4 people in a week? Yeah. And if you trust the process, the system, and your leader to explain well and come across well and be attractive, then it's very likely that 3 out of 4 people that you talk to are going to say yes. And then they say, what did you do? And you say, I just followed the system. I went through this. I set my goals. I made my list. I got my CEO pack. I plugged into things that were important. I engaged the way I needed to. And then go, okay, I guess I'll do that too. It's a monkey see copycat business. That's the best way to look at it. This next piece right here, once they do this in a week, believe that if you could do this in a week, or the person you're working with, then shouldn't they be able to do one of these in a week? Yeah. What if it took them 3 times longer? It's okay, because that's the rest of the month. So in a 30-day period, you can take somebody from here to here inside of 30 days. What if it took you 60? Are you okay? Yeah. What if it took you 90? Are you okay? If it took you 6 months, are you okay? So just because I say that it can be done in a week for this and 30 days for that, it's okay if it takes you a little bit longer. Totally okay.
Yep.
So back to Tom and Denise.
This is my intro.
Back to Tom and Denise. They are the most giving, caring people that we have met, that have had the impact that they have on our life. They've blessed us beyond measure. We're always so fortunate to be able to spend quality time with them. We never take that for granted. We know that it's rare. We know there's a lot of people to serve and to be around inside this company. Every time we get a little nugget from them, it's always a privilege, and we're very fortunate to have that. It is very rare to get Denise and Tom and Juliet and myself and some of these other leaders in the same room at the same time. I hope you know how valuable today is. So when they come up here to share some thoughts and insight and some wisdom on edification and on the importance of events, The reason they're talking about these two topics is because they're experts of experts on these topics, and they will probably tell you in a few moments how vitally important, like I did on some other things, these two components are, and we saved the best for the last. So would you get out of your seat and please help Tom and Denise feel very welcome to be here.
Okay, we're going to have you out of here by 2 o'clock, so don't you worry about that. So I know we have to fly, and Denise didn't even know she was coming. So
I
this
went
is
and
pretty
wore my
cool.
woolly jeans.
Yeah.
Okay. They're more
I told her
expensive
that
than
you
the
guys
rest.
were all big Christians, and she said, okay, I'll wear my holy jeans. All right, so here's the deal. I want to talk about all kinds of stuff. In fact, at the very end, Scott decided to remind me of my 2 topics because he knows I won't even touch them because I never do. But I will talk about those a little bit. But this business is hard. Know that. If you heard anything other than that today, we lied. This is the hardest thing you ever did. The hardest thing you've ever done. In corporate America, you think about that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow called your 401k. You founded the largest landscaping architecture firm in the country. You had this dream, you had that dream, and that pot of gold disappeared. The cool thing about the pot of gold at longevity is it only gets better. So even though this is hard, pick your hard. Okay?
Yeah, that's right.
Anybody that tells you it's going to happen tomorrow will lie to you. They lied to you. And I'm telling you for a fact they lied to you. This isn't a tomorrow business. This is an everyday business to build a great tomorrow for you. But no, also tomorrow never comes. So, you know, at our coffee shop, we had a sign that said free coffee tomorrow. And the people would walk in and say, we want the free coffee. And we'd say tomorrow. That's so awesome. So know that too. Yeah, those are, and most people fail in network marketing. The statistics are overwhelmingly bad that you're going to be successful. So what? It's that simple. So you all are okay with that, right? I said it. You can give it the whole shot. It is true. Okay. So the way to be successful. Oh, wait a second. Mark Stallings. You know when Mark Stallings came? Where's Jeremy? Is he still here?
Yes.
Okay. So Jeremy sings like we had him sing "Happy Birthday" and all kinds of stuff once, right? And then we had Mark Stallings sing his play his trumpet. And Denise has always wanted to sing. And it's something that I actually
This is
heartfelt.
going to be such a sad story.
So one time I'm at an auction, a silent auction, and I signed her up for singing lessons. And we won. And so she about had a heart attack because she would no more take a singing lesson.
No, what happened was a silent auction, and I'm going around with my friends, and we go to this sheet of paper, and she goes, oh, look, you know, voice lessons. And then she goes, oh, you bid on it? I was like, no, I did not. This is Tom as a bad joke.
So I want you to sing God Bless Me.
No.
Please.
I don't even know the words.
Where's Brenda Sorensen? Come on up here, Brenda.
Oh, thank goodness. Brenda's going to rescue me.
So wait a second. All the way from Southern California. Brenda Sorensen.
Are we doing God Bless America?
No, take it away.
Are we doing God Bless America?
Yeah, is that okay? That was
Sure. You need the karaoke machine. Okay.
No.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, what would fall? God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home.
Michelle Walnut, she needs to sing at the convention. I mean, is that unbelievable? Robin Tanner sent me a clip of that. It made me cry. I mean, it is unbelievable who we got.
God is so cruel. Like, I couldn't even.
No, I didn't marry you for your singing, you maniac. That is so exciting. So, but you know, you got to look deep. You got to look underneath this stuff and see who's great at what. And you take a look at my little boy. On the way over here, you know, Adrian, you know, how old is he? 6 months? 5 years old. He's like 32. He's grown up. He's still my little boy. But what's so crazy about that is he went to Snooze in Boulder for breakfast. So I'm driving down, I'm coming in here this morning. He goes, Dad, we got to talk to this guy. And he sent me a video clip. And all he did was meet the waiter, interviewed him, and then brain dumped him into a microphone. And then he sent me the interview and totally edified his dad to the waiter, edified the waiter to me, set the meeting up for me to meet the waiter, and everything's on. Because edification's everything. And all you guys need to know is that. And you talk, and I'm not talking about edification like being in the front. Oh, by the way, I got to change topic. Remind me where I am. You're doing a heck of a job on this.
I'm just the moral support.
It's great to be up here. And I know you guys appreciate the people up here. But Scott drove here in a $100,000 Escalade. I drove here on a Vespa, by the way. That's my baby blue Vespa. And I know I looked very thin on it. It's like, top speed for somebody like her is 40. Top speed for me is 4. So, they just love me on Main Street on my, and with my goggles on and my little RV hat. But anyway, those of you that came here with no money, those of you that came here with no organization, those of you that came here and watched this all day long with absolutely nothing in the form of evidence, those are the ones my hat's off to. Because this is hard work. And it's hard to do it when it's coming from absolutely nothing to show for it. But I am telling you what, we are committed to giving you something to show for it. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
That is so cool. Let's give me a round of applause. To my notes. And I can tell you, I may be one of the most prepared people you have ever met in your life. Look at this. It's just like I am a train wreck because you do not use your brain in this business. You fire your brain, you hire your heart. And you love like crazy, then love more. If you can do that, you win. Because I can't be Fred Van Leeuwen. I can't be Dr. Ike. I can't be Dr. Lisa. I can't be Steve Blackburn. I can't be John Sayer, the engineer, or Mariko and Diane, the engineers. It has been 46 years since somebody looked at my report card. Thank God. Because they would have said this guy dropped out of high school in like the 7th grade. He wasn't even in high school in 7th grade. So, you know, even that math was bad. But when the way that this business works is you talk to more people. That's how it works. And you probably, most of you new people, most of you people that haven't got big businesses have no real check to show to people. So you're going, I can't talk to people because I'm not making enough money yet. I'll go talk to them when I'm making the money. That's why you do the edification piece. That's why you do the 3-way call piece. Because it's quite simple. Who's got all this garbage on this board? Erase that. So it's unbelievable. And so the edification piece, and all of you have got to interview 2 people in 3-way one with your upline. And I wasn't sitting in the room, I wasn't able to see you when everybody says, do you know what the coffee shop interview was? What is? And if somebody didn't raise their hand, you got to learn it. thecoffeeshopinterview.com or go to Masters of Enrollment and learn the coffee shop interview. Because it takes you from a multi-level marketing born what do you call them? The Hare Krishna? Mooney. Yeah, those people. It changes you from that person that everybody hates into a loving human being who, when you are talking to those people, what your agenda is not longevity. Your agenda is their agenda. Can you get that?
Yep.
What Nikki said. So, you were listening. I thought you were just texting. Congratulations.
I took notes.
I know you did.
I actually came here just to learn. I had no idea I was going to be up here. Otherwise, I would have dressed a little differently. But,
So
are you taking a breath?
Yeah, right there. No, right there. Draw that map right there.
I can't see it.
Okay.
Oh, here, let me
I
see.
can't
Let me
see
see. Let me see.
It's really not too hard. It's
Oh, God. I'm trying to draw this for you.
yeah, right. Friend, expert, a triangle, just a triangle. At the top, yeah, the triangle on the left. Like this? Yeah, you, friend, expert. That's all this is. That's all this is. Whether it's edifying from the front of the room for this, that's it. That's the golden triangle of multi-level marketing. If you can make that, who did I steal it from? Matt Morris, and I actually gave him credit.
Oh.
So here's the deal. I went on, well, I'm sitting here. Scott said, you got to talk about edification. I go, I don't know jack about edification. So I went on the internet. But I don't. I am terrible at this business. But I am persistently terrible till I get better. Right? Does that make sense to you? That's all you want? No. You put expert there, you put you there, put X on the corner. Here's the picture. So the whole thing is that you are the human being. You know, you're bringing your friend Kathy. Kathy loves Marianne. You guys love each other. Because you guys love each other, Marianne, you want Marianne to talk about the business. Marianne trusts you completely. But you also know Marianne is like not the smartest hack in the box. And you've known Marianne all your life. She's the one that tried to steal your boyfriend. You've got all kinds of stories about Marianne. So you love her, but you really don't listen to her all that powerfully, right? Yeah. You know that. She knows that. So Marianne brings in the expert called Denise. And Denise is the expert. So you well, yeah, that's good. And that's no. Come back order. So between you put the word trust between you and the friend. I just said trust. Okay. Okay, that's good.
If you need to go early,
No.
this is
Credibility. It's so simple. It's so simple. I mean, I'm trying to do. I'm not a visual guy. You can tell that.
This is what happens when Tom tries to prepare.
So anyway, at the end of okay, wait. Everybody watching this, you can see me completely messing this up, right? And every one of you people in this room know you can do this better than me, right?
Yeah.
Can we compare paychecks? Fire your brain, fire your heart. You are not, hip, slick, and cool is the straight jacket to vulnerability and authenticity. Give it up. Here's when Joe Cool, stand up, Steve. Here's when you fell, turn around. Here's when you fell in love with, he stood up and he's standing here like he was in the Marine Corps. My name's Steve Blackburn, and he's starting the speech. And the minute he said he was nervous, the minute he said he was scared, the minute he really, really told one on himself is the second you all fell in love with him, right?
Yeah.
Because he told one on himself and all of a sudden he twitched from architect to human being, correct?
Yeah.
And he's feeling very, very, very creepy right now. Give it up. That hip, slick, and cool's killing you. Be with people. Okay? Make sense? All right. So here's the deal. So all of a sudden, Denise Chenault comes into the conversation with Kathy and Marianne, and all of a sudden, Denise's credibility carries the day. So when we pick up the phone, we edify everybody. So I tell everybody on a three-way call. Everybody's scared to do the three-way call. I say, do some research on me. Think of anything that you can find about me that your friend's gonna love, right? And then tell me why you love you make your friend look like the most important person in the world. That's your whole job on the three-way call. Edify the heck out of me, edify the heck out of the friend, and all of a sudden, everybody's related, and then it's my job to edify you to Marianne. That's all it is. It is the most beautiful triangle in the world, and it's all edification. And you sent me the coffee shop interview. So instead of speaking at your prospect, I'm speaking to your prospect, and I am selling them what they said they want to buy. Edification and the coffee shop interview, and you are done. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It is so awesome. People call me all the time and say, you got to call this guy. We have to do a three-way call. You got to explain the comp plan. I go, I don't know the comp plan. It's on the internet. Haven't watched the comp plan video. Oh, you got to explain what's in CM Cream. I don't even know what CM Cream is. Don't ask me that. Which, by the way, CM Cream. Have you guys tried CM Cream yet? Yeah. Somebody tell me about it, Joel. You love it?
Yeah, it's great.
What's good for?
Just like your aches and pains, joints, this is what I use it for, muscles and joints.
Do you ever work out?
All the time.
What's in it?
No idea.
It's a esterified fatty ester.
Right.
Correct? And the main ingredient is something called acetylmeristoliate.
Right.
And it's in the Journal of Rheumatology above. Okay, so. There you go. What the heck? What just came out of his mouth? Where's Tom? Where's Tom go? Because you didn't know I knew that. I don't want you to know I knew that. Because all the rocket scientists right now on the internet, half the people in this room, are Googling acetylmeristoliate, CM Cream, esterified fatty esters to figure out if I'm really telling the truth. Because anything that is a complete fact that you tell anybody, they're not going to believe you. They're just going to go home and fact check you anyway. So why tell them? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I told you everything true about CM Cream right then. But the fact of the matter is, it's not my job. My job is to fall in love with you. My job is to connect from the heart, not the head. Can you do that?
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that, Denise? Fired up?
You're good.
I heard you sigh.
No. Well, the common theme that you've heard through everybody today was all about relationship, right? And undoubtedly, I mean, we were at a dinner party 2 nights ago, and somebody asked us what we did, and so we told them, and this guy's retired, and somebody else said to him, this would be awesome for you. And immediately the guy says, yeah, but I don't like selling, right? And almost all the time, people think network marketing, I've got to sell something. And so our job is to change that paradigm. Our job is to change the paradigm from selling to sharing to serving. And that's really as you,
what are you doing?
Somebody called me. And so that's what our job is. And when you do what Nikki said, when you take out your agenda, which is really sometimes hard. If you're, like she said, if you're up against, I got to pay my rent in 14 days. And I need to do X amount of sales in order to be able to pay for my rent. It's hard to be able to put that aside. But the no agenda part is really important. Don't take advice from people you want to change places with.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
And there's a lot of people out there that are hurting and they're suffering. But like Scott said, we as human beings like to be comfortable. That's that reptilian part of our brain that says, fight or flight. I don't like to be uncomfortable. I don't like to step into my fear. And yet, as a profession, this is what we've signed up for. Because without stepping into your fear, you're not going to be successful. And it's in order to climb that ladder of success, you have to be able to do that. And when you do that, you are showing everybody underneath you it's safe. I'm holding the ladder steady, come on up, right? So the last thing I want to say, how many people are going to convention? Yeah. Oh my gosh, isn't that awesome? So here's my advice about that, because we won't be having a Super Saturday in August because we'll be in Dallas. This is going to be the biggest party of the year. It's Longevity's 20th anniversary. And my advice to you is this. Yes, it's going to be a party, but show up as an ambassador. Show up and look like an ambassador, dress like an ambassador, act like an ambassador. Don't get fallen down drunk at any of the parties. I'm just telling you, walk into it as a business person, as an ambassador. Know that you are going to learn so much over the weekend, but it's everything that you do on the other side that's important. But when you have a mindset of walking in as an ambassador and acting like that and learning from that place, that weekend will shift, okay? And then we'll come back and we'll do an amazing Super Saturday in September, and we'll share a lot of what was learned at convention. But I'm so super excited that so many people are made the commitment to go down to Dallas. And it's like Scott was saying, that's part of our culture. Yeah, give me your list, or else what's the point? And okay, let's get you signed up for a convention. I guarantee you in Dallas, they're going to have something up on the board about the next convention, and you sign up for that next convention and you get your team to the next convention. Why? Because it's what we do. We go to the events because it's what we do. And we bring our people because it's what we do. Because we know out of all the 7 core skills that we learn, that promoting events is the most important. Okay? That's it.
Thank God. So that guy that they're talking about, right? That she was talking about, the guy, well, his wife was just, I mean, they've been married 34 years. The wife was just hanging on him.
She was an emergency room nurse. You know, there's always that moment when so Todd,
let's give her the microphone again.
They go, what do you do? And so Todd said, hey, do you know that famous doctor, Dr. Joel Wallach, who did the tape, Dead Doctors Don't Lie? And the woman is like, and you can just see her face, and we didn't know what she did at this point. Well, she was an emergency room nurse.
So she knows that I was telling the truth. So second thing is, so then, but she was just cute as a button. And then the guy came over and, did you see how far he was on the floor? 68 years old, and the guy was absolutely squatted down. I couldn't do it. And I just said, so now I'm ready. I'm going to see him today. And this guy's done. He's going to go, I don't sell. I'm going to go, you sure? I said, I did a great sales job on her, on his wife. And then, you know, that's such a crazy story. We're always selling something. Even the fact that he was selling me on the fact that he doesn't sell. So I'll handle that today. But, you know, we gather information. And now we're going to go up and show what's in it for him. By the way, I know you're all looking at this iPad Pro, which is beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. That's a very, very good deal, and you want to have one of those for your multi-level marketers. I imagine you're wondering why I didn't get an iPad mini or a regular-sized iPad. Is anybody wondering that?
Because you can't see it.
No, the small ones wouldn't cover up my stomach. I swear that thought went through my head. Thank you very much. Building toward events. The events, you know, the key to that whole deal, building toward events, is don't try to do it yourself. You are building a team. You get your leaders involved. That's what happened here. And then you get the people involved on top of that. And you make it fun, and it's repetitive, and it's repetitive, and it's repetitive. and stop going after the same crowd. Right now, we just had a horrible, we're in a terrible spot, actually. The funeral, we're going today to the funeral of this kid that overdosed on heroin. He was our godson, and he actually overdosed and died in our house. And so, a house we rent to the parents of the kid that died. And it's just horrible, horrible stuff that we're dealing with. But in light of that, we decided to take on Opiate Overdose Awareness Day on the 31st of this month here in Longmont. August, on the 31st of August. So Marianne went down, we made a protest sign, and we're going to do a march on Main Street. And so far, in the last 4 days, 7,000 people have hit that link. Haven't they? And 13,000 people have seen it. So 7,000 people have watched the video, the 3-minute video, and 13,000 people have seen it but not watched it. And comments are coming like crazy, and notes about how they can help are coming like crazy. And all of a sudden, Longevity and our business and ourselves are back out there in another community that didn't exist last week. So, and it wasn't for that I did that, but I was thinking about it as I was preparing for this speech today. The more that you're doing out in your community, the more you're doing in your backyard, the more you're involved in Grace Place. Where's Grace Place girl? You know, the Grace Place conversation. You know, no, you are the poster girl for Grace Place, right? And how many people in this room have been in Grace Place? I mean, it is crazy. I mean, that is a beautiful, awesome thing of community on all fronts. And just think about your communities where you're strong. And if you aren't strong anywhere, that's got to tell you something. You got to get out of the house and go do this. Because this isn't a spectator sport. And that page called 65 and a Wake Up that I keep driving you to, John Funk, stand up.
That's awesome. That's the way it should be.
That's right. So John Funk was one of those grab you by the throat salesmen that would just throw you to the floor and make you sign an app. And he had such an unbelievable disadvantage over all of you because he had to unlearn all of that and drop his agenda and make other people's agenda his agenda. How'd that work for you, John?
Always wonderful.
I know, and how is it now?
It's wonderful.
True story.
It is. It really is. I currently drive for Uber, and so people are hostage in my car, which is great. And I sit there and I do the coffee shop interview with them, and I post it out on 65 and I'm glad. And I'm like, you know what, I really want to help out. Paul's been calling me all the time, going, how can I help? What can I do? I'm giving him big pointers. I got a guy calling me out of South Carolina. I saw you on this. How can I help? You know, so I'm helping people all across the world right now, and I'm so excited about it.
And your life feels like it's got meaning and purpose, and you're just a better human being than you were 6 months ago, aren't you?
Oh, most definitely.
And your belief has shifted.
It has. It really has. It's mostly hurt.
Yeah.
It really has. And I quit my corporate job in February just
to be with his wife and his 2 beautiful daughters. And are there more than 2?
Yes, there's 4.
Okay, good. I thought there were. Where's the other 2?
They're all.
They're older.
All right. All right, you guys.
Okay, hold on. Can I just say, because I think that's, you know, when I hear about Nikki and everybody, the first thing that she does is, you got to come to my church. John, you know, your belief in longevity and what you're doing right now is so strong, but it all stems from that belief, right? And knowing that what you have is of value. And that's what we have in longevity. And not only that, you have to know that you're deserving of having people listen to you, right? You deserve this. You deserve everything that longevity has to offer. I think it was Nikki again. I just love you, you know? She said she got nervous when I walk in. I show up to hear Nikki speak. She's like who I want to be when I grow up. So,
abs and everything.
Abs, especially the abs, right?
Ivan, do you have a ticket to the convention yet? Yes, sir. Okay, good. Who doesn't have the money that would go to the convention if they had a ticket?
How much is the ticket?
$150. You want one? You'll go? It's in Dallas. Okay, good. Callie, you'll go? Anybody else want a free ticket? Rochelle, you got one? You got one. Carl, you got one.
Wait,
come see me.
What's your name? Michelle?
Michelle, you got one. So Marianne, we needed to turn in 4
You
names.
find out, you figure out a way how to get there, whether you drive, whether you take a bus, whether you fly, whatever that is. You figure out there's a lot of rooms out there that you can bunk up with somebody, right? There's the stories about people. Oh, Sherry, don't you cry.
Stand up, Sherry. Stand up. What's going on with you?
She's my teary-eyed buddy.
Why are you crying?
Oh,
Because Michelle is my stepmom.
I know it.
Her everyday life is like going through the ringer, and she deserves so much.
She's going to the convention, baby. I know you did it.
She's not on people, and her tank is so empty, and you guys are helping me fill her tank.
We need your names right now. Marianne, we'll get that. We'll even have you a printed name tag. This is so exciting.
I thought it was sold out.
It is. It's sold out.
It's sold out.
But I bought 10 tickets, but I never
Well,
did it.
we know people.
So we love you guys. When I said 2 o'clock, it's 2:05. I feel bad about that. But you know what? It is so important. Scott, what do you want to say?
You have 1 segment for 5 minutes.
Oh gosh, Jared, come on. Are you gonna sing?
Oh my God, did you go?
Come on, no, I didn't know it. Good. You guys can't leave. This guy is a rock star, and what he did for us is unbelievable at the last event. It was, he brought us $20,000 worth of sound equipment. Stayed, lived with it out of the kindness of his heart. It was the reverse Robin, really, because Scott's rich and he's poor, and he gave Scott. Take it away, yeah. And what do you tell them what your job is? Introduce him.
How many of you went to Leadership Mastery just a month or a half ago? So many of you did. Okay, great. Well, this next time round, we've already got the venue completely picked out. We are going to Rocky Mountain Center of the YMCA of the Rockies. Sorry, YMCA of the Rockies up in Rocky Mountain National Park. The dates are May 4 and 5. We encourage you to come in on the 3rd so you can enjoy being up there, spend the night, all day training on Friday the 4th, spend the night, all day training on Saturday the 5th. So it's a 2-day event, but get there on the 3rd. Got it? So Jeremy Gerard is a very close friend of ours, and Joel's and Nikki's and many other people here in this room, so I won't drop anymore. But Jeremy actually is employed at Grace Place. And he, if you haven't met him before, he leads out and heads up the entire worship team. He can sing and dance and play musical instruments like nobody's business. If you want to know a professional musician in the entire sense of the word or context, that'd be Jeremy. His amazing wife, Brittany, is just moments from giving birth. That's why she's not here right now. So they're just about ready to have a child. Could be any time, right?
Sometime this month.
Sometime this month, yeah. And Jeremy has a number of talents, and what he's done is he has prepared something that is in the developmental stages, but the first stage is gorgeous. And we've created a model for learning and improving network marketing skills in the largest sense possible. And it's a place that everybody can go to find resources and tools. The first phase is focusing on the Leadership Mastery event. So as much as you got out of that, next year we're raising the bar. Wait till you see the cast and list of speakers and talent that is going to pour out for 2 solid days, morning till night. And Jeremy's been a huge help in preparing this website. You can go get tickets there. You can learn about the details and the event, etc. But he's going to show and tell that right now.
Yeah.
So thanks, Jeremy.
Okay, so, and this is also mobile friendly. So if you want to write this down or put it on your phone, pull out your phone. It's YGYleadershipmastery.com. Okay, and that's what this is. It'll get you to here, or it'll show you a nice, cool, mobile friendly version of the website. YGYleadershipmastery.com. Then we can start scrolling. We're just going to talk about this. This website it's going to serve the purpose of multiple things. Right now it's just serving the purpose for the summit. So There's the dates for the summit, the location, a little synopsis of what it's all about. We can go a little bit further. Here's your register today. We're doing a 1 ticket per purchase, so we can keep track of all the registrations and names. Otherwise, we'd sell 1 person 10 tickets, and then we would have to go find the other 9 names. So 1 ticket per person, and then you just go back and repeat the process if you want to get your tickets. Here's your speakers. We've got, these are our lined up speakers already. Subject to change. You can actually keep scrolling. There's another column of people. And then if you have your mouse on a desktop, you put it over there and you'll like see names pop up. And then right down below here, this is our YMCA of the Rockies SS Park. If you click on that YMCA lodging options button, it'll actually bring you to a page where it tells you all of the things that you need to know about actually booking a room up there and getting all your stay and accommodation taken care of through our summit credentials. And then there's a map. In case you know how to use maps, that's how you use a map. And then just below that is going to be the contact us page. If you have any questions, you can send your email and someone will gladly share an answer with you. And then right here at the very bottom, you also have a Facebook share. And so for all those people that are on your team that you want to share that with, this page with, that's the share button. Good, that's it. That's it in its entirety. It will eventually evolve into more of a resource page too. So you'll have a page that talks all about the upcoming summit, and then we'll also have resources available in the near future. Audio files of the speakings that happened at the last event, and any video trainings that we decide to do and put on there. It'll also have some direction to the YGUI Builder website, a few other things, but for now, that's what we got. And, oh yes, the most important thing, let's go back up to there. Stop. Early bird discount before July 31st. Currently, the ticket price is $99 per person. And after July 31st, it goes up to $110. I think it's $110. So if you want your early bird discount, we're putting it out here right now because I think we actually said at the conference that there was going to be an early bird discount up through July 31st. So we're making it known. July 31st, you can get a ticket right now, and then it goes up to 110 after that. And then I think it'll credentially go up as the year moves forward. Any questions?
You're awesome.
Good.
Thank you,
Thank you guys. Love you.